It's the return of the Saul.
AI this time.
Hello and welcome to Triangle Squared, a PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Brett Beck, and alongside me, as always, one Mr. Chris Figs. Chris, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. How are you?
Doing well. And in a first ever for the show, we have recreated Saul as an AI bot so that he can live on in spirit in the show moving forward and give his expert AI Saul opinions. AI Saul, how you doing today, buddy?
I ruined it, and I do not know if it came over or not. But when you said for the first time ever, I said my ass, but I didn't hear you react, and I was like, "Did I ruin the bit just then?" So I'm good, Brett. Okay. How are you?
You know, doing excellent. Just been doing more years of this show, and somehow, some crazy way, we have ended up at episode 400, despite moving to every 2 weeks quite a while back. Mm-hmm. So we slowly brute forced our way here. And it's a great spot to be, you know? Saul, we started this podcast 9 years ago in 2 months.
That's absolutely wild.
Crazy, right?
It does not feel like it's been that long.
It doesn't. And it, weirdly enough, this just goes towards that kind of general feeling of time consistently feeling different as you get older. Because I think Chris and I both kind of constantly, and even you, like when you mentioned like you're on episode 400 already. And even for me, I was like, yeah, I don't really know when that happened. It just did. But it doesn't seem like it's been that long since your departure from the show anyway. Like there's times where I'll be talking about the show and I'm like, yeah, you know, a couple years back Saul said, and I was like, oh, actually it's been like 4 years since Saul's been on the show. but a couple years works. So yeah, Saul, it's exciting to have you back. A lot of people who have continued to listen since your departure, we're very excited to hear that you were back. We got some warm love for you, as well as some questions. So first and foremost, this is a PlayStation podcast, though really we're just a group of people who look at the gaming industry through the lens of being primarily PlayStation fans, or at least that was the case. I think that there's an interesting conversation to be made here about what has happened in Saul's life in terms of where his gaming habits have drifted, and we will definitely get into that. But we play what we want, when we want, on whatever we want to, whenever the mood or fancy strikes or something looks good. But this generation, it's getting easier and easier to play that all in one place. So it'd be a weird episode for this to be your first episode, but if it is, welcome. That's the spiel. We have a host who's been gone for a few years back to really... It's going to be a different episode today. Usually we're covering news topics and everything. But today we're going to just we're going to cover two news topics that kind of came as a very recently that are pretty big. But the most important thing we're doing this episode is just kind of checking in on what Saul's been doing, celebrating doing this for 400 episodes, and having a good time conversing around. So strap in. We'll get going on that. But we always start the show off, as you remember, Saul, in a time-honored tradition. And I'm going to throw it to you first and foremost.
Oh, dear.
What have you been playing the last couple of weeks?
Oh, the last couple of weeks? Is this how we do it now?
I guess yeah. Since we've moved to bi-weekly, it's past couple
of weeks. Give me your
game
of the year for the last 4 years, top 5, and then give me your bottom 5, last 4 years. Go.
Okay. Let's see. Hold on. Elden Ring, right? That has to be 2021.
There you have it.
Are we counting that as, I guess, because it's not quite.
Yeah, that sounds right.
2026. Yeah. What came out in 2022 that was good? Is that Baldur's Gate?
Baldur's Gate was 24 or 23?
Was it 20?
23. I believe it was 23.
Okay, so now what came out in 22?
23 for Baldur's Gate. Late 23, but 23 I'll say. Chris, you've stumped the AI.
You have.
It's in thinking mode.
Man, so I guess Triangle Strategy, but that's like a Steam game. That's also 2022. I'm looking at that. I'm looking through my Steam library.
Tears of the Kingdom was 23.
Oh, wait, hold on. Elden Ring was 22.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You're right.
I'm dumb. So yeah, Elden Ring was 22. I guess Baldur's Gate or like Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core Reunion, whatever that game's called.
Okay.
Banger.
Okay, yeah. Banger.
No, that's... dude, okay, hold on. Let me fix this. My Steam library is dumb.
I really did stump the AI. I cannot complete your requests.
Hey, Saul.
This is an AI hallucination. What?
Hey, how many R's are in strawberry?
2.
Okay, can you tell me where those R's are?
STRAWBERRY.
Okay, so you just gave me 3 R's. So where'd that third one come from, buddy?
You're hallucinating.
Oh,
I don't know if y'all
fixes it
know
all.
this.
Thanks, AI.
If you ask Copilot how many R's are in strawberry, to this day, it is wrong.
That's so good. Dude, Saul did it the other day at game night, and you just heard, first of all, the way that it talked was so funny. It was like, nah, bro, I'm not trying to trick you or anything. It's like, don't worry, I'm not trying to sneak an R past you.
It was so uncomfortable and sketchy because it seemed like it was trying to get me to admit something illegal.
That's true.
Okay,
Like, don't worry, buddy.
2022 is Elden Ring, and this also answers. Oh, hold on, I just had it up on Discord. It's definitely not.
Oh, you got the questions up? Yeah, there you go.
Well, it was Jehudi. Yeah, he said top 3 games I played during this time. So this will kind of knock out 2 birds with one stone.
Dude, I'm savant.
So Elden Ring for 22 is 23 Baldur's Gate. Because if it is definitely Baldur's Gate. If that's 24.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate was 23.
Okay, so then definitely Baldur's Gate. 24 is probably going to be Sons of the Forest or Rise of... Oh, no, Against the Storm is a late 23. Okay. Probably Helldivers 2 in 24, just because that's the most I've played in 24.
Yeah, you and Big Seth played the hell out of that. Still do. At least Big Seth, I know for sure does.
I haven't played it, actually, in a long time, but I know it got a really big update. And 25, I feel like would go to Expedition 33 if I would commit some time to it and play it. But Night Rain is 2025. Okay. I have 308 hours in Night Rain somehow.
Yeah,
no, I'm sorry. Let me erase Helldivers off of 24. It's Metaphor. My bad.
Metaphor? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, big metaphor guy over here.
I was hoping for the strong comeback with, oh, you know what I forgot? In 24, Balatro came out. I don't know, man. But
it did?
Yeah, we've had a whole year and like 3 months of Balatro, right?
Yeah.
Wasn't it like a late 23, 24 game?
Ooh, V Rising or Dread Delusion. Those are good 24 games.
Dude, okay, so Chris and I started playing V Rising and we never went back to it. And I'm kind of bummed
that game's so
we
good.
never went back to it because what we played, I had a good time. But this kind of goes towards the thing. So Saul, I know that you and I played enough of the original The Forest together that we know each other's feelings on like survival games, right? But I remember when Chris first was like, hey, I downloaded V Rising and I think it's really fun and I think you'd like it and you should play it. But as I was playing it, I remember being like, this is the most non-Chris ass game. Why is he asking me to play this? I'm having a good time, but I'm waiting for him to stop playing it. And it's not your fault, Chris. We both literally just stopped asking each other to play, and then I never went and even played it on my own. But I think it's a cool game. And now that I'm not like balls deep in the trophy competition and you've clearly given up the ghost this year, well, who knows? It's early. Maybe the first quarter is going to be light for you and you're going to come back and hammer. But if not, maybe now is the time for us to pull some V Rising out. Saul, do you know if that game is crossplay?
I do not know. I know that the multiplayer is insanely fun.
Might we convince you to pull back into the game?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll absolutely play again. I played that game solo. That game was great solo. I played it with John from work.
Oh,
John
yeah.
M.
Yeah. Nice. Nice.
Man, I was going through it. I was looking at disappointing games. I only came up with 2 that I was actually disappointed by in this entire time frame. And it was Oblivion, the Oblivion remake or remaster, and Diablo 4.
So why Oblivion? Out of curiosity, was that one of those games where on PC it seemed to actually have more problems than on the, or was it just didn't live up to what you remembered liking about it? What was it?
Oh no, I definitely did not have the amount of problems that I know a lot of people did. I would say they were almost non-existent, but
good.
I did have a game save breaking. I don't know why I can't speak English. Game save breaking bug on mine where it crashed and it just Steam Cloud crapped out my save and I don't know what happened. I still don't know what happened. It could not be recovered and I was like 12 hours into my first playthrough and it killed my spirit.
Oh, what a way for a game known for being incredibly buggy to say hello and goodbye in 2025 yet again.
Yep. I think I still have it installed, don't I? No, I definitely uninstalled it. That game's 120 gigabytes.
Yeah, it was surprisingly large. All right, so what was the second game that was disappointing?
Say that again. My mic broke out or my headset broke out.
Oh, you're fine. What was the other game that was disappointing?
Oh, Diablo 4.
Diablo 4. Oh, yeah. That's an interesting one because I beat it. So I played it enough to be like, okay, I like it and I'm not regretting playing it. But I think my disappointment, because I'd agree with you, my disappointment was that I did not feel the urge to play it like I did Diablo 3.
That's my thing exactly. I played it for 8 hours. I'm looking at my Steam thing right now. I played it for 8 hours and I felt no compassion to go back.
Yeah, like, did you like the story or did you even beat it?
I'm gonna be
8 hours,
honest.
you...
I just played Diablo 2 for the first time ever last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
When it came out with the Resurrection version on Steam with the Warlock class.
Mm-hmm.
I played Diablo 3 when it came to PS4, and I played a lot of Diablo 3. So I don't know the story to Diablo at all. I could not tell you. I know, isn't Ariel the angel guy? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about Tyrael.
Tyrael. And then there's Diablo, who's the big demon guy, and I'm pretty sure he's the bad guy of 2. That is all I know, literally.
Okay.
I couldn't even. I played through Diablo 4 like 4 times, or Diablo 3 like 4 times. I don't remember that story at all.
You know what? I got to give it to you though, because even though I do remember the story. It's not like a crazy story. It's good. The cutscenes are cool. I will admit that even though I know the story, what you liked out of that game is exactly what I liked out of the game. The story was cool. I'm glad it was there. It was fun to keep going back to. But what was fun was just seeing big crowds of shit on screen, breaking through it, finding the right build craft, and just going through.
Yep.
And eventually, the levels are a backdrop for the chaos that you're ensuing on, right? Like, it's cool to, like, oh, I guess I'm in heaven now, killing all the angels. No, now I'm in hell, killing all the demons. Now I'm on earth, killing all the demons and angels that are on the two. But yeah, it's interesting seeing, and I've wondered a lot. You still play, like, you really dial in on one game and play the shit out of it, right? Like, you've played, like you mentioned, you've played 300 hours of Night Rain. So, and that's not surprising. You're playing it all the time.
Yeah.
So originally with Diablo, my thought was like, all right, is it the game is not as good as 3 at being this type of sticky for me? Or have I changed? Do you feel like you have any kind of feeling on that? Because I think that if the game would have been good enough for me, that it would have stuck with me just the same and I would have been into it. So even though I think it was good, I think really the game just isn't made as compellingly as 3 was. But do you agree with that?
Yeah, there was just, I really don't know why I didn't have the compassion to go back to it. But like you said, I normally will pick up a game, and when I'm looking for a new game, I'll pick it up and I don't want to put it down. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a hobby in an individual game title.
Mm-hmm.
And Diablo 4 just was not that. And I was really, really hoping it would be. And ever since I've started playing Diablo 2, I actually care a lot for the story for what I have played. I'm only like 6 hours into that, so I'm not super far.
Sure.
But it's been the exact same thing that Diablo 3 was to me on Switch. So it's because I'm playing on Steam Deck. So it's portable Diablo.
With that in mind, actually, Chris, did you go back and play some Diablo 2? I feel like I remember you saying something about downloading it, but I might be mixing you up with Donovan.
No, I have it, but I haven't played very much of it.
So, Saul, this is your first time playing it, is what you mentioned, correct?
Yep.
How are you liking how different from 3 it is?
I'm going to be honest, it's kind of not. The sprint mechanic is interesting.
Sure.
It's better for the storytelling for sure.
Yeah, let me say this. I think when I say that, 3 really concerned itself with quality of life features that make the game. It's almost like the jump between Oblivion to Skyrim, right? It's like both are good games. They both do the thing that they're doing well, but Skyrim tries to knock off and smooth over the edges so that it's as simple for anybody to get into as possible. And I think 3 did that really well for the Diablo franchise. But whenever I went back and played a little bit of Resurrected, I still think it's good, mind you. But I was like, oh, okay, I can feel where some of these things were missing. Not that that's a bad thing, but I remember at the time I was like, well, this is not what I'm here for. But I also don't think I was in the mood to play Diablo at all. It was there, so I wanted to try it at least. So it's interesting hearing you be a first-time player. I didn't play much of it. Originally it was a PC-only game. So when I was young and didn't have a very capable PC, I didn't really play it.
Is this the game with the cow den or whatever it is? The cow level? Or is that Diablo 1?
Yeah, there's a cow level. Diablo 3 and Diablo 2 both have it.
Diablo 2 is the one that made it famous, though, right?
If I'm not mistaken, that's right. Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. The Moo Farm. All right. Well, Chris, what have you been playing? What should the people who are listening to this keep their eyes on or keep their eyes off of this week? Are you muted, big guy?
Yeah, sorry, man. Oh, man. No, I've had a weird week. So it's funny because I sent you the list of games just in case you wanted to go through it. And originally I'd put Arc Raiders on there, only to realize that I haven't played Arc Raiders in like a week, about a little bit.
Well,
played one session, but
we played Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday night.
that was the most, I think, everybody's checked out session I've ever played of a video game. That didn't happen in Apex. That didn't happen in any of the other ones, like Marvel Rivals, none of them. But I was playing that session with both you and Sean, and it was just this feeling of like, I think everyone playing is kind of done. Did you feel that, or was it just because it was a bad night?
It was a mixture, right? I think first and foremost, and we're going to get to another question within this topic as we're here. It wasn't a great output. It wasn't awful, but for a bit I had that feeling of I thought we'd got ratted, and it turns out we didn't. But I felt pretty confident it was, and then it wasn't. I'm glad it wasn't, because true use of the word rat, I thought it was people who were in the bunker with us who were being cool. And then we hung out a little bit longer and they went out. And then what I thought they did was just hid and wait for us to run by and then smacked us down. Thankfully, that was not it. And I was glad to see that. But more importantly, I think the other thing is that even though I agreed to play, my AY and Thor had come in the day previously and I was still in the midst of setting up all the other things. And so it was a mixture of my attention was elsewhere and the game wasn't going like particularly well to pull my attention away from it to begin with.
Yeah.
And so, but there is, on the flip side of that, there really is and I think Saul knows, because much like Saul said earlier, right? He likes to get a game and then not want to put it down. And I think Saul and I have always had that in common in the initial stages of a game. But I think where Saul and I differ is that even a game that I love, usually, there are some examples, like Saul remembers me and him busting out like 300 hours on Terraria. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think one of the big differences between Saul and myself, and even I think Chris, you and me, is that even for games I love, eventually, usually within about 100 hours, I kind of get to a point where I'm like, I'm just done with this gameplay loop. I'm not saying the game's bad as a result of it. I'm just kind of, I can play this, but my interests lie elsewhere. And so it was a mixture of Sons of Sparta came out, and I was enjoying that because it's been a while since I've played a Metroidvania. And it's not a bad one. I mean, I think it's a solid, we'll talk more about it when I get there, but I think it's a solid game. And then the AYN Thor, so I had all this other stuff that I was trying to figure out, and new tech just kind of mesmerizes. And on top of that, I just played a lot of it in a very short window and really pushed hard, and the game kind of bullshitted me a few times, I felt like. So it was just, I kind of threw my hands up and was like, I'll play, and I still think it's a fun, social experience. But I felt it. I just didn't know if it was just me being distracted by other things or if everybody... I kind of felt it last time we played with Sean, where I was like, oh, I think Sean's just here because we're here, which is a perfectly fine thing. And in the future, I will be on if someone is like, hey, you want to play? Absolutely. I think it's a fun game. But I don't think I'm going to be pushing to play it at lunch on solo runs or stuff as much. I'm kind of done with that. Like, my lunchtime has been taken up by some of the new games I'm playing. So we'll get to that. But Saul, we do touch on an important question that came through that I think is now's a good time as any to put through. And that is from Jehudi MD. He says, Saul, are you Arc Raiden?
I played Arc Raiders for about 10 hours when it came out. No, a little bit more than that, maybe like 30-ish. And I saw the quality that the game offered, and I saw that there was a lot of potential for hours and hours and hours of playing. Unfortunately, that is also kind of why I stopped playing, is because I did not want to dedicate my full time to that one game. As contradictory as that is to say about how I'd like to pick a game and treat it as a hobby, I could see that I would be getting burnt out of that halfway through, like my 100 hours, as we said a second ago. And so, I kind of just... I didn't have like bad experiences or anything. The game was always fun. The performance of the game was actually really, really good.
Agreed.
I just could not muster up the compassion to keep grinding. Almost similar to Diablo 3. I don't really have a good reason. I mean, Diablo 4. I don't have a good reason on why I stopped playing. And it could just be that I didn't have anybody to play with at the time of it coming out.
That's a big part of it. Which, I asked you a few times, but I think I asked you after you had kind of played it and bounced out for the most part, which is fair enough. But there is something to be said about having something to play for this type of game. I've said a lot that the game is fun to me in large part because of the social aspect. Now, there's also the social aspect with randoms whenever they're actually talking to you. And it has gotten to the point where I'm disappointed whenever we're playing together, Chris, or if I'm playing solo and someone downs me or fights me or whatever, and then they never say a word. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck you. Like, I'm not. All I wanted is like the interaction is fun, but I get it. I have usually been the guy on a lot of online games to not be in the chat because for most games it doesn't really add or to subtract anything from it, and they've also limited it down a lot from the 360 days where everybody was in open chat with each other. A lot of games have done away with that. So for this game to bring it back, I think that there's a lot of people that are like me who are just so used to playing games online and not communicating. But once I kind of got in the rhythm of communicating, I'm like, this game is so much more fun, even when you're getting killed. You know, just hitting people with random, like, I love yous as they like knock you out. That's one of my favorite things to do. It's so fun. So, yeah, the social aspect's a big thing. Did you do any solo runs and actually interact with anybody like that, or was it pretty quiet in your game, Soul?
No, there was a pretty fair, I would say 1 out of every 3 games was pretty social.
Yeah, that's not bad. Which, if you get in some big maps, you may not run across a player for a while before you get down from something else. It can totally happen. But,
oh, yeah.
But that's there. But yeah, Chris, so you were going to put Arc Raiders on, but you've decided that the little bit we played was not really there.
Well, it felt like I didn't play Arc Raiders this week. Even that session, it kind of felt like I didn't play Arc Raiders.
Well, you didn't play it the way we have been playing it at the very least, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. So yeah, I started Sons of Sparta. I'm not going to say anything about it. It wasn't a game for me. I don't know if my opinion is valuable on a game like that. And I was just like, I'm going to play a good God of War game. And I just turned on God of War 2018 again. Because I was kind of thinking of the moment that we talked about in the podcast last week about Athena and all that. And I was like, I wanted to see that again. Turns out I didn't play any story, and I just went back to my old save and 100% of it, got the platinum, and deleted it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Ironically, you didn't go back for the thing you went back for, but you went back and got something else.
Well, it was funny because the first night I was gonna replay it and like go for the platinum. Then I'm like, I might as well just see where I'm at. And then I'm looking through this checklist. And I'm like, okay, I don't have that much to do. And then not that much to do turned into like 3 days of only playing God of War side content.
Yeah.
And but I mean, that's the thing. Like,
Saul,
I never found
I can't remember. Did you play whenever you did God of War? Did you fight the Valkyrie, the final Valkyrie, or any of the Valkyries?
I started to, and I realized I didn't care about getting the platinum, so I did not put myself.
So you just gave up on it?
Yeah, I gave up on it.
Well, I watched Chris. Ironically, after we stopped playing Arc Raiders, Chris share screened him fighting through while we were bullshitting and talking, fighting through the final Valkyrie fight, and it was just so interesting watching because I actually think for the type of challenge that you like, I think that if you ever went back and did it, not that who knows, you never know. I think you'd like it because it keeps you on your toes the entire time. It's a really good boss fight.
It does. It is a good boss fight. Thing is, part of my problem with like what I played of 2018, it's like everything around, like getting to places is incredibly tedious in that game.
Mm-hmm.
It's so tedious, and like I don't really understand the design decisions.
It's the dedication to that no cut camera.
It sucks.
Which for the bulk of the game, I love the dedication. For fast traveling, it's bad. It's not very good. One of the big things, and you played the PS4 version on PS5, I assume, which doesn't get.
I don't think there's a PS5 version, is there?
No, there's not. There's not.
Which is weird.
It doesn't get a huge load increase realistically. But one of the upsides I can say is that same dedication is in Ragnarok. But the other cool thing that's in Ragnarok is that the fast travel is instantaneous, like it's supposed to be.
Thank God. Because that's the thing is, I would have to weigh sometimes, is it better to ride in this shitty boat or is it better to take this crappy hallway? And sometimes it was the boat, which is a crazy thing when we're talking about fast traveling.
Yeah, and we're talking, post game, there's no story content for the boat. But Saul, you were mentioning something. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm just going to leave y'all with like a PR mess where He said I was going to play a good God of War game, and I was really hoping he would not have said Ragnarok, because that is not a good God of War game.
I've taken my lumps. I don't like Ragnarok.
I do not like Ragnarok. I still love 2018. And unfortunately, it's one of those things like where I don't have the motivation to play 2018 because I can't continue the story. Because I will not put myself through Ragnarok again.
No, Saul, this is like, you know, I've told you plenty of times, like whenever a band puts out an album that I don't end up really jiving with, it's like it makes it harder to go back and listen to the albums I do like from them. And they shouldn't. It makes zero sense, but it's something about knowing that they end up in this spot that kind of, for a little bit at least, I'll be like, I need to go listen to something else until I can forget that this new album I don't care for exists. And eventually I can go back and just pretend that only the albums I like exist.
Yeah. And what's crazy is what fixes that for me is that they come out with a good third game.
Maybe. It's really interesting to see what the next one's going to be, since it's for sure not going to be the Norse mythology, at least as they've said. Did you beat Ragnarok and not like it, or did you do like Chris and hit a point where you're kind of like,
no, I beat Ragnarok. I thought the whole entire ending of that game was like, I don't know why it took me 30 hours to get to 15 minutes of climax, because that game went by way too fast at the end.
Thank you. And look, that's what's so complicated is like, look, I am not saying it's a bad game.
I'm not saying it's a bad game either.
In many ways, in many ways, it's a really well-made game, and it does plenty of things better than plenty of other games. But for anytime that you're doing a sequel like this, right, it's always building off of what the previous game left you with. And, Saul and I kind of differ a little bit. And Chris, you didn't just recently play it, so I don't know if you have a good sense of what I'm about to say. But Saul and I had slightly differing opinions on the length and how that affected the pacing when you do the long boat ride home. And I don't want to say too much more of that. But point being is that's like, when that's your weak spot, and that's the only thing that, like, I remember when Saul and I were talking about 2018, that was the thing, is it was just kind of like, the game's so good, combat's great, blah, 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 blah. And then we kind of hit it. It's like, but it kind of felt long in the tail when we got to this point where you're doing this really long boat ride. And I remember being like, for me, it feels like it's like building the tension and doing all this. And so it works. I feel like Ragnarok has the opposite problem. Like I said, I remember being like, every time I talked about it, even though, again, I think it's good, it's not, I think it's worth beating, but I don't think I gush about it as much, because I think it falters a lot in trying to squeeze a third game into a second game that wasn't originally kind of intended, while also feeling like hurry up and wait. Also, everything happens in 15 minutes, like Saul just said. And I know that's a slight exaggeration, but that really is a problem at the end of it. You hit the end of Ragnarok and you have this feeling where you're like, yes, I've been building towards all this stuff, and it's been kind of going all over the place, and I had to watch this boy ride on the back of a thing and pick fruit for 30 minutes. And then you're like, now is the time. And then you're like, the scale of this game is about to get crazy, and we're going to have a real God of War moment. It's going to feel it. And then a bunch of shit happens in like 30 minutes. And it's just like, wait, what? And look, for all of Kingdom Hearts 3's problems, the one thing I'll give Kingdom Hearts 3 is that, and I think Saul would agree with this, once you get to where Kingdom Hearts 3 is starting to climax, it's like 2.5 hours of all that shit. And so it feels massive and epic. And even though the rest of the game leading up to it might have been various levels of quality of what you wanted after waiting all those years, I think Kingdom Hearts 3 at least knew how to stick the landing. And I think Ragnarok frustrated me because I was like, all that, and I don't feel like you stuck the landing.
Yeah, like Kingdom Hearts 3 answered so many questions in like such a short period of time and did it so well paced that I was surprised. And even though I joke about Kingdom Hearts 3 in terms of like it not being one of my favorite Kingdom Hearts games, but it is a good Kingdom Hearts game. It's no Kingdom Hearts 1. Like it's, and I mean that negatively towards Kingdom Hearts 1, but it is a good game. And I mainly said that because I'm messing with Brett, because we have this ongoing thing where he knows Kingdom Hearts 2 is better, but he would not admit it.
Kingdom Hearts 2 is better at some things and worse at others. And I think that's a fair assessment. And I just prefer one. Assessment.
I prefer 2, and it's okay.
It's okay. So I love you, buddy.
I love you too.
All right. So Chris, I was at card night, and I get this incredible, you got to watch this. I've got a game for you to play. And Saul, I meant to show you, but you were in the middle of a good game. And so I didn't want to stop your steam there. But Chris sent me this trailer for this game called Laika Aged Through Blood. And it's like this wolf or something riding a dirt bike with a Uzi.
What?
Yeah. And it's like those Trials games where the whole game you're controlling a motorcycle, but you're hitting like jumps and like aiming down and doing like twin stick shooter shit on these enemies that are around. And what did you actually look, Chris? You played it. Give us a rundown of what exactly the game is, because it looks incredible and it's very stylish.
It sounds incredible.
So I want to start this off with, this is a good game and it is too hard for me.
Oh, it's a Ghost Runner. Because I think Ghost Runner is a great game. It's fucking hard and it makes it really hard for me to stick with it.
I feel like you would be fine with this game, but like there's something about the movement. So like it's a really dark game. First off, like in the first 5 minutes, you find a wolf named Poochie crucified with his intestines on telephone poles.
This sounds like Cult of the Lamb.
Is this like, actually, is it like Mad Max cranked to 11, but with animals?
It's like if The Walking Dead had a set of balls.
Oh.
So,
Coral?
Yeah, kill the baby. No, but so I don't really know. It's hard to describe because it's a platformer. It's like a precision. It's not even like a precision platformer. So like one of the big mechanics that I'm at is you can reflect bullets with your bike. You can use your bike to block bullets, and you can shoot people. And what I think is interesting is like you can backflip to reload your gun, or you front flip to reload the deflect on the motorcycle.
Okay. So it's a very technical game.
It's super technical. I didn't finish the first level and I was like, I can't play this game. There was one point where I had to kill 2 birds. Those are the main enemies, by the way, is birds and cop. I think they're cop suits, which is pretty funny. Security birds, that's what it is. So I had to kill 2 birds, which means your gun right now only has 2 bullets. So I had to kill 2 birds, do a backflip. If you don't land, you die. So you have to land properly. So I had to shoot 2 birds, do a backflip, reload my gun, and then do another jump to shoot another bird. But if you're reloading while you're doing it, the bird can hit you with the bullet. So you have to be doing your backflip at the exact right time to deflect his bullet with the bottom of your bike, shoot him. And then one of the other twists of this game is that it's not just forward and backwards. So if you hit square,
it's vertical?
It's vertical. And so I'll get to the verticalness. Hold on. So when you're going, it's 2D, maybe 2.5. I don't know the difference. So you're going across, and then sometimes what you have to do is you have to hit square to drift and turn around and go the other way and do jumps that way. So that's one of the ways you traverse these things. And you have like puzzles where you shoot a thing and then a wall goes up, and you have to go under there and then drift and shoot another one so that the wall goes back up so that you can like traverse these areas. It's nuts. But so now you can go through. So it'll be like if you have like a Z, you know what I mean? Like when you're talking about, see, if you have a Z, you can go through, but in order to go up, you have to wheelie, and then your character goes up the hill. So there are some areas where you have to go wheelie down wheelie really quickly, and that's kind of hard, but it's awesome. It's really awesome, but it's hard. Like I don't know if the thing is, like, I think I could do it, but I don't know if I want to put the time in to get good enough to do it.
Okay.
But
have either of you played Ghost Runner at all?
I played the first one, yeah.
I played a little bit of the first one.
Did either of you beat it?
No, it's too hard.
I got 4 I got to the 4th level. So I got 3 levels complete to the 4th level. And I just quit because I was like, this is so fucking hard. And it's incredibly cool. It's super stylish. I love the way it looks. But it's just like, I'm sweating bullets the entire time I'm playing it. And I'm just like, it's so unforgiving. If you make the lightest mistake, one hit, you're dead. That shit got me. But there's a level. There's a balance between. So it sounds like in this game, if you get shot at all, you die. Or do you have
one shot? Yeah, no, it's one shot.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
It's super, like, that's the thing. It's super cool. but it's very much like, it's like you mentioned Trials. It's like a Trials. It's like, oh, I hit everything perfectly and I'm through, which is a great feeling.
Yeah.
It's so hard. But I will say, I played this game for 3 minutes and I got to the tutorial thing where it says, press square to drift, and then I was like, okay, that's pretty sick, and I'm like doing the animation, and then it goes, in the air, press square to deflect bullets, and I went, Brett, you're gonna like this game. Here you go.
So you didn't even get very far into it.
No.
The upside is it sounds like this was a cheap find for you.
Yeah, so it's on sale right now for $3.99. So that was why I was like, I'm taking the chance on another furry game. I'm not a huge furry game guy, but this is awesome. So I highly recommend you give it a shot if you can deal with those kind of games. I don't regret picking it up because I got it for $4, but I don't know that I'll be able to get through it.
Thank you for sending me the link. I did wishlist it on Steam. That game is $20 on Steam. So it will be a wait for a sale for me, but it looks really cool, actually.
It does look really neat.
Even from what I've played, I would also say, like, if I'd gotten this at release, I would have been okay. Right now, it's like, 3 years old? Like, don't, but it's fun.
That was the thing is, I'll give it this, too. We're hitting that point where it's getting harder and harder to tell how old the game is, because when you first sent it to me, I thought, oh, is this like a new game that they just announced? Because all it was IGN trailer. So I clicked through and I go, oh, God, 2023 or 2022. And I was like, Jesus, okay. Completely missed this game, but that's a nice surprise. I have Code Vein still in cellophane in my game collection for PS4, but here I am looking at a wolf riding a motorcycle, being like, I think I should play that next.
I think it was kind of, it hasn't happened to me in a long time where I just happened upon a good game. And it kind of goes to, because I remember I made the point a while ago that I thought that if a game was good, people would know about it. And clearly, like, the universe was like, you're an idiot. Because, like, I'd never heard of this game before. And I just happened to see it. And I'm like, it's got 9s from IGN. This isn't like an unreviewed game. Because that was the thing. So I sent you the launch trailer because I didn't know what the reviews were. And I was like, I don't want him to see a shitty review and like I take my word for it that I think it's pretty cool.
I don't ever look
at reviews.
I'm like, you're good.
Scrolling through the IGN review just to see the score. And I'm like, 9. Okay. So like this isn't like some like Chris really likes it, but he's got off taste. He likes Alpha Protocol. It's like, no, this game is actually good and just never had heard about it ever.
I think that Saul would probably agree with this because something that we've kind of been skirting around to some degree, and we'll talk about a little bit more in a minute, is that Saul has shifted very heavily toward playing on PC. I mean, really, I don't think that Saul plays his PlayStation ever, realistically.
Dude, I have not turned my PlayStation 5 on since Spider-Man 2 came out.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I played Spider-Man 2 and beat it, and I have not turned it on since.
With all of that in mind, I think Saul sees probably the even bigger version of this, because when you're on Steam all the time, you see how many games release. And I think I get that the instinct of what you said, Chris, right? Like if a game is good, people will know it exists. I think one of the biggest problems, and this is actually happening right now with AI music, is that once you hit a point where there's so much stuff releasing on any given day, even good things that just, it's not even about standing out. Sometimes good things are just surrounded by so many other things that they get drowned out. And thankfully, later, sometimes they get picked back up on. I think that's kind of what happened with Among Us, if you think about it. It's like it kind of didn't pop off, and then suddenly everybody was in a position to go, hey, let's look at this weird game, and it popped off. But I think, Saul, I think you'd still agree with this, even though I know you don't see the PS Store as much. But I mean, Steam is kind of like the worst version of the too many games arguably releasing. Would you agree with that?
Actually, probably not. I think Nintendo's worse than that.
Okay, yeah, I don't spend a lot of time on my Switch either. Does it have a lot of? I struggle to actually even say this because I don't think a game has to be necessarily shovelware just to be like, hey, there's too many games for a game of this quality to necessarily be worth putting on your store. But how many of Nintendo games would you actually say you'd qualify as shovelware?
Like first party games, because I'm not talking about those. That's the problem Nintendo has. I think they have a eShop quality control
I'm talking
problem.
about on eShop. Yeah,
they have a massive quality control problem.
You know, interestingly, if I'm not mistaken, I think PlayStation just deleted a lot of games that were like those really crappy easy platinum games. Like they just wiped them from the store entirely. And I think Xbox was talking about doing something similar. So it sounds like Nintendo needs to get on that as well.
Yeah, and it could just be also that like the way that I shop for games, like, so I'm a really big Steam Deck player. That's the main reason why I've gone to PC. Like, Steam Deck to me is the wireless switch. Like, I can play a game on my computer, let the Steam Cloud upload to, or let the save upload to Steam Cloud, and then pick my Steam Deck up, go sit on the couch, and play the game on my Steam Deck and resume immediately. And a lot of the time, I will be utilizing my wish list, or I'll be browsing the what games are you playing this week thread in the Steam Deck subreddit. And I get a lot of my recommendations from there. Rarely ever do I go down the front page of the Steam store, or do I go to the actual Steam store. And I also have like a filter checked that I only look at like games reviewed and games that have been Steam Deck verified, which is sometimes dangerous because sometimes games are Steam Deck verified and they run like crap, and sometimes they're Steam Deck verified or they're not Steam Deck verified and they perfectly fine. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think is up with that? Do you think it's like the developers have to pay Steam to verify it and they choose not to spend the money?
No. So all verification means is that the text is easy to read. It has native controller support, and it can actually launch and play. So it doesn't have anything to do with performance. It doesn't have anything to do with that. It just has to do with compatibility.
Then why do you think some games that aren't verified still launch, run, and everything like they're supposed to?
I think it's because they have issues with the UI. Like, they won't go through and make sure that all the UI is easily readable. And I don't know what that
scalable
metric
to that
is.
Screen size.
Well, and I don't know what that metric is supposed to be. Like, how do you dictate what size of text is easily readable? Because there's like an actual Steam icon that says some text in this game may be hard or uneasy to read on your Steam Deck. Like, it'll say that. And
sure.
I just don't know what the metrics I don't know how they judge that. And so,
well, I kind of get it because, like, I think little tidbit I learned is that Hollow Knight was originally being developed for the Vita, and then Nintendo came in and offered them money, and so they canceled the Vita version and put it on Switch. So that's an interesting story. But I remember that I remote played Hollow Knight out of curiosity onto the Vita from the PS4 to see what it would feel like and look like. And it looked incredible. And the only thing that kind of got me is that the main UI for like health and stuff was fine because it's fairly large in that game. But the moment you walk up to a bug and start talking to them, since it's rendering out a game that's running at, I actually want to say on PS4 Pro is running at 4K. So you're running 4K text, which is really small in comparison, on a screen that's 540p. And so it's tiny because it hasn't been reproportioned. I'm kind of dealing with an opposite thing right now where, like, I'm running Pokemon on this AYN Thor, and even though I've got the resolution pumped up for all the geometry in the game, the text is massive because it doesn't know. It's just stretching the text to whatever it thinks the screen is doing. That's probably some of what's going on. Is it's like, hey, can the average person actually see them? But that's weird because a lot of PC games, are like a lot of really console games even now, kind of let you adjust like subtitle size and even UI size a lot, right?
Yeah. I think it has to do with the native size. Like, I think it has to do with like you not having to do anything and it being readable out of the box.
That's fair.
What they consider readable, I do not know.
Well, let me ask you this.
And
I think this is an interesting.
Which I think I said that, but yeah.
Well, here's something that I think Chris, it'd be interesting to get your input on this as well. There's been a few people who aren't very PC focused that I know who ended up getting a Steam Deck because they thought this will be what gets me into PC gaming, and they think, oh, the Steam Deck's purpose is to simplify what can sometimes to non-tech, people who don't really spend a lot of time figuring out how tech works, that's what they thought. Like, oh, the point of this is for me to just be able to download it and it almost acts like a console. And I think that's actually true for what Steam Deck is, but sometimes it requires a little bit more massaging to figure it out. Is that actually a fair thing to say, Saul, and even Chris? You ended up selling yours. So I'll start with you, Chris. Did you sell yours because you still felt that little bit of friction that you didn't feel like doing, or did you just find that there was an actual use case like you thought there'd be for it?
Yeah, I mean, it was the use case for me. Like, the biggest reason I sold it was because I found it in my car. You know what I mean? Like, that was one of those things where it was like I hadn't thought about it in so long that I'm like, oh yeah, shit.
Free money.
Yeah, basically. And that was the thing. It was like, I never used it outside of one game. I never used it to play PC games.
Yeah.
I used it to play Dreamcast games and PS2 games.
See, yeah, we're touching on something I want to talk about in a bit. But yeah, I get you, right? Like you were using it as a retro console.
Yeah. And like, it was cool to be like, okay, like I can play Trails in the Sky, right? Because that's how I played it for the first time. Like that was cool. And like there were a couple interesting experiences I had. Like I played, I think it's Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers. I think that was the game. Yep, that was it. That was a fun game. I played this one, which you might like, saw Felvedek. It was like this weird RPG set in like the medieval ages, and it was cool, but it was just like,
oh, I've seen Felvedek. That game actually does look really cool.
It was sweet. And Dungeons and Degenerate Gamblers, great game, very fun. The thing for me is that like it's not where I want to play games. Like I want to be in the ecosystem which I play games, which is my PlayStation. So like that's where I'm gonna do the lion's share of my gaming. Even like we've talked about it with Game Pass, where it's like I would play games on Game Pass, realize I liked them, and then buy them for full price on PlayStation because I'd rather play the game on PlayStation. So once the emulation thing kind of wore off, because like I like emulation as a concept, but for me,
it's the execution that can sour it real quick.
It's the execution, but I think this is going to sound really stupid because it's like a first world problem created by myself, but there's too many choices to ever stick with one game where it's like, okay, I'm going to play Pokemon Emerald, but I could be playing Pokemon Ruby. But I could be playing Crystal because I actually really love Crystal. But I want to play Emerald. But how about I play Pokemon, like a Pokemon, fan hack that has shitty sprite versions of Mega Evolutions in Pokemon Emerald? Wouldn't that be cool? And then I play that. And then I go, oh, well, this can actually do DS. So let me play Pokemon Pearl, right? So it was one of these things where it's like I had access to all these games that I wanted to play, but it doesn't work. This may be the most corporate shill thing I'll ever say in my life, but there is something to opening a DSi, popping in a copy of Pokemon Emerald and playing it that way that makes it more appealing to me. And even like with what you have, it's not how I want to play it.
So this is where it gets really interesting.
It has to be on. It doesn't even have to be. But if I'm going to commit, like if I was going to commit to 50 hours of Pokemon, it has to be on a Game Boy because it doesn't feel the same playing. Like you have this giant Steam Deck to play a Game Boy Advance game.
It doesn't feel right. No, I agree with that. So I was going to go somewhere else in the conversation, but I think this is a good time for me to kind of pivot into the fact that there's a few things we've touched on here that I think play into why I was both excited for the AYN Thor whenever I ordered it, but also kind of worried that it would be exactly what you're talking about. Like I'd get it and I'd have my little moments of being excited with it and then I'd put it down. Now, of course, I've only had it like 4 days, so that still could change. But I've been paying a lot of attention to how I'm feeling about using it, and I'm being smart because I think, first of all, you're right. You can give yourself way too many options. So what I've done is for the systems I put on here, I've put 3 systems. I've got 3DS, Switch, and Wii U. And for each of those, I started with one game, and then I only did one other game on 3DS to make sure that the settings I put on for the one were good for the other. And so I have one game per system. That way I don't do this thing where I go, let me play this. And of course I could, but the friction of having to download and put the other game on there helps stop that. But the more important thing around why I even wanted this is because I had the thought you did. I wouldn't mind playing some of the 3DS games like Link Between Worlds or some of the Pokemon games that I enjoyed, or even the ones I missed like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. And then so I started looking for a 3DS and I was like, oh, dude, a 3DS in decent shape these days is going for like, definitely the XL or the newer, nicer ones are like $250, $270. And I was like, that's a lot of money for something that, is older and still is outdated tech. Vita has the same problem, right? But luckily I have a Vita. So then I see this and I'm like, oh, okay, this is a 3DS. I mean, if we're just going to be honest, like Saul, you had it yesterday. Of course, it's a little different, but it feels eerily and looks eerily similar to a 3DS in the hands. And so when I started looking into it, I'm like, okay, it can emulate 3DS. That's kind of the real point that it's here for. And it can do so at a quality that looks like what you remember 3DS looking like, but in a form factor that feels right. I was like, I feel like this is a better replacement 3DS, even if I don't play it all the time, it'll just be for that purpose. And then it just so happens that Switch runs on it as well. But it has felt so good playing 3DS Pokemon in a form factor where I see the second screen down here. It's pretty much the exact size it's supposed to be. It's still a touchscreen. It works like it's supposed to. It gives me all my second screen gaming fun. And I think there's something to be said about the fact that the more important thing is I can stick this in my pocket. And my wife was like, why are you playing a Switch game on there when you have a Switch 2 right there? And I think the Switch 2 is a really well-made console. Throw that out there. I think it's too big, and I don't find it particularly comfortable. And so the ability to play this and just shove it in my pocket goes a long way. And it's one of the big reasons why I see you carry around your Steam Deck all the time. And they look cool, but whenever I was thinking about buying yours, I was kind of hesitant because the biggest thing that's going to keep me from wanting to use it.
My LCD, by the way, I have an OLED now.
Yes, yeah, your LCD one. But the biggest thing that I had kind of going for it was I think it's too big for me to ever want to carry it around anywhere. And that is like portability is a real factor for me. And that's why even though the entire lifetime of the Switch, I played my Vita more than I played my Switch. I played my Vita more in a month last year than I played my Switch the entire time I owned it. And I think that goes to say what my habits are, because I bought the Switch 2 and I think it does a lot of great things. It looks good and it runs well. And a lot of the games I was waiting to play on Switch 1 because they ran poorly, like Echoes of Wisdom, suddenly don't have that problem anymore. But I'm still not drawn to playing on the Switch because I just don't find it all that comfortable. So that's been an interesting thing to go toward. Do you ever find, Saul, you seem to not care and you talk about playing it often. I guess you like the size of the Steam Deck. Is that one of the things that actually draws you toward it?
Well, for me, so I always have had it ever since I was younger. I've always had this weird thing of like, I need to be as efficient and optimized as possible to never carry random things in my pockets.
Sure.
Like I need my daily pockets to be the exact same thing every day, always. And for me, I have always just been used to anything that goes in my pockets is just in a bag instead. Always in a case, like never just loosely thrown in a bag. So I am just used to having a bag with me. If I carry my Steam Deck somewhere, it's in my daily bag that has other things in there that has like my Kindle and my travel journal and stuff like that, my laptop or my iPad mini, stuff like that, where it's not just the purpose of carrying around my Steam Deck, and it's not like a super heavy backpack that contains things I'll never use or something like that. It's stuff that I'll have daily or weekly with me that I just carry around, and it never has a problem because of that to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And maybe it's also like we have very different jobs. So like sometimes lunch hits and I'm leaving a customer's and I'm like, do I go home? And I'm like, well, if Hannah's home and she can let the dogs out and it's not a big deal, I may just grab some food and sit in my vehicle and just play whatever I have on me. And the Steam Deck is not as easy to even carry around that way. Okay, right? It's kind of cumbersome for me. And I don't, unlike you, that's one of the big differences. Unlike you, the only thing that's ever that I have in a backpack is all my Magic cards and Pokemon cards and all that stuff, Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And it just only has that. So the only time I ever carry a bag around is specifically for game night. So I think that makes sense. Like our general day-to-day habits and what we do, I feel better being able to be at work and be like, oh, it's break time. I can crack this open more easily for 10 minutes and I can pull out this massive thing and go through, because this is already sitting on my desk, not taking up a bunch of room. I just carried it in my back pocket, set it down. I did the same thing with my Vita. So it is interesting how your proclivities change. But Chris, last thing I'll say towards your thing is that one of the things that I was worried about from Steam Deck and even PC emulation, which is ultimately what Steam Deck is this idea that like even though PC can emulate 3DS or things like it, I don't want to see 3DS emulated where it's one screen to the left or right of another screen. Yeah. I want it to be stacked. I want it to feel, and again, that's where I was just saying the most important thing is this feels like I remember the 3DS playing and feeling. And that's, I got to give them a lot of credit because weirdly enough, Ambernick, completely different company, recently announced the RG Vita or something like that. And it looks like a Vita, but it's missing all the rest of the stuff. It doesn't have a touchpad or any of the things, whereas like this has the microphone, it has a touchpad, it has a gyroscope, everything you need. And I'm like, why call this the RG Vita? And you're not even gonna, like, it won't even be a good thing to play Vita games on. And that's what a lot of these retro handhelds get into. And actually, Saul, you kind of were in a stint there for a bit of buying random retro handhelds as well, weren't you?
Not really, I guess. Like I bought an Ambernick I forget what the model is, but I bought an Ambernick that is like the size of like a Game Boy Advance. And
then you bought a
thing.
Retroid?
I had a Retroid for a while that was nice, really, really nice build quality, but I felt like it was still not worth the money that I paid for it and the time that I had to wait. I'm pretty sure it was the Retroid Pocket 2. So it was
sounds right.
It's a really original Retroid model. I know they've come out with like 6 since then. And then I had an Ambernick RG something or another, and it was like a Game Boy Pocket, which is actually my favorite one I've had.
Yeah.
It is. I could play it with one hand. And so like playing like Pokemon or like Castlevania, I could literally play with one hand and kind of use like my phone while I'm sitting there like watching a TV or something. I can literally sit there and play with one hand and just kind of chill with the other and not have to worry about it if I wanted to. Or comfortably, I could play with two hands and play like normal.
Interesting. Yeah, it's been an interesting thing. I guess I'll quickly, before we talk about your final one, Chris, most of what I've been playing is Sons of Sparta. And if you like Metroidvanias, I think it does good. It's a solid game. If I had to give it a score out of what I feel so far, I think it's a 7 out of 10. Some people view that as not good enough. That's 2 points above average, in my opinion. I think that's good. I haven't beaten it, so that could go up, could go down. I know I've talked to somebody who's had some bugs. I have not. It's been a very bug-free experience for me so far, which is good. So if you're the person who likes it, it's got all the staples that you'd expect. It's got hidden rooms and hidden things where you look like an idiot running up to a wall and smacking it, trying to see if it's going to let you go through or get something out of it. Like, give me a damn ham from the wall, please. But then it's got this really interesting thing where it's got like a really big parry mechanic built into it. And then it's got these things where it's trying to, Chris, I don't know if you played enough to get this feel, but I think you did from what I'm hearing you say. Did you get to the point where it started telling you about even early on, it continues to kind of diversify a little, but early on it does this thing where it's like, this type of attack refills this meter versus this type of attack refills this meter and has a secondary focus. And I was like, okay, this is kind of one of those things where we talked about there's not a lot of new mechanics anymore, but there is a lot of mixing of mechanics and ideas. And I was like, this feels like someone played Doom 2016 and we're like, isn't it so cool that when you do this, it gives you this type of thing, but when you melee, it gives you ammo, but if you do this, it gives you health orbs. And they're like, what if we made that into a Metroidvania mechanic? And I like it, but it's also sometimes it's kind of interesting in how it chooses to do that. Then eventually you get this item that's like it's almost like a Estus flask, but not really, because there's not charges to it. It's just any excess health orbs you get start to fill it up. And so the better you are at getting excess health orbs, you can have extra health that you can drink to heal on the spot. But it doesn't refill at like a fire whenever you get to the campfire to save or whatever. So I think the game's good. I still question exactly the choice of story here. I don't think it does anything terrible to the lore, but I also don't know currently how much it really adds to the lore. I think that they just wanted to make a game and thought that this is the best way to do it without fucking up the lore for the majority of the Greek saga. So we'll see how that goes, but I recommend it. But most of what I've been doing is bouncing between Echoes of Wisdom, which is fantastic. It's Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom Switch game, and it's exactly what I always wanted the Zelda games to be once the Switch came around, which is like the creative freedom that comes with a game like Breath of the Wild, but with some of the structure and dungeon ideology that comes from the classic Zelda games. So that's really cool. And then finally playing around on Pokemon Ultra Sun, which is a game I never got around to. And it's cool because this thing lets you put like mods and stuff on it. So I was able to remove the black outlines that were there to hide how pixelated it looks on 3DS. And I was able to run the game at higher resolution. And then I found an HD texture pack, which doesn't touch every texture in the game, but it touches a lot. So the game looks even more crisp than it did because people went back through and made them higher resolution for rendering. So that's been a good time. But I'm trying not to do exactly what you talked about. Let me play this, and this, and then you never play any of them, and you just turn it off and put it down. So far, it's been good. It's actually pulled me away from Final Fantasy X, but it's been a good week. And with that said, Chris, I noticed that you mentioned you wanted to do it. You went back to Resident Evil Village.
I did, yeah.
Why'd you start with that one?
Just to round out that conversation, I just bought a DSi. Anyway,
Nice.
So
how much, out of curiosity?
$250 because it comes with Pokemon Black.
That's actually a killer deal.
That is a killer
It's not
deal.
bad. It is the Pokemon Black DSi, so it has the etchings in it.
Hell
I'm like,
yeah.
$250 for that. I'm like, easy money.
Solid.
Anyway, so I don't know. I've been like dabbling in So I was originally going to start with 0 and then play all the way through. And then I got about a quarter of the way through Resident Evil 0, forgot that games that old don't autosave, and lost it all. So I put down Resident Evil 0 for the time being. And it's actually kind of sad because I actually was enjoying it.
Does 0 have the ribbons?
Yeah.
Oh God.
You have to have a ribbon to save, right?
You have to have a ribbon to save.
And there's only like X amount in the game, right?
Yeah.
It's
I
been
wasn't
so long
playing
since I played
on
0.
super hard mode, so it wasn't like you get. I think you pick up ink ribbons and you get 5. So I was like, this isn't terrible, but yeah. So I just decided, like, given how close we are, that I was going to play through 8 again and then do the DLC, which I hadn't done, which is I believe it's Rose.
Yeah.
Ethan's, I believe it's Ethan's daughter. I don't think that's a spoiler. No, it shouldn't be.
No, it's not. It's in the first 5 minutes of the game.
I was going to say, don't you start the game like carrying this kid? But yeah, so I was just like, screw it. I'm going to try this. And yeah, so I've been playing through it. It's still fun. I'm playing through it in third person right now.
I forgot. They gave it an update for that, didn't they?
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird though, because you are kind of right. It's a weird place to start with a refresh, because honestly, the only ones that I've missed in the past couple of years is Resident Evil 1 and 0 and like Code Veronica. You know, I didn't play 6, but nobody needs to do that. So like, yeah, I beat, me and Sean co-op through Resident Evil 5. Obviously, I platinumed Resident Evil. 6 is the one with
6 is the one that has you play as everyone.
Yeah. It's the one with action and stealth.
It did really bad.
Oh, yeah. I erased that game from my memory.
PS3.
Actually, ironically, Brett, it is the best-selling Resident Evil game. It reviewed very badly.
Yes, that's fair. That is the better way to say it. It did not do well with fans.
Yeah.
In terms of, or rather, I think that's a better way to say it. Though I'd also argue that the vocal people online, it did not do well with, but it did not do well critically. Let's say it that way.
It's kind of like, I feel like
is it still the best selling?
Yeah. The only people who like that story are also people who watch Clone Wars in chronological order. You know what I mean?
What does that mean?
There's a watch order for Clone Wars. Do you not know this?
I've never watched Clone Wars. It's on my list.
You talking about the animated series?
Yeah, there's a watch order because I was going to watch it that way for my first time. And I was like, I'm not doing this. It was like, you watch this episode because you get this perspective that happens before this episode. It was
not
weird.
Happening. I'm just going to, I do want to watch it. It looks great and I've heard great things. I'm just going to fucking watch the show.
That's what like people say about Resident Evil, where it's like you're supposed to play a little bit of Leon's story and then go to the other person's story, and then go to Chris's story.
15.
But yeah,
after all the
DLC. Biggest problem is you have to manually choose to do that, right? Like if you choose Leon and you stick with him, you play through his whole story. So you have to choose to be like, on chapter 2, I'm going to go play 4 chapters of this one, and then skip out to this. Like, I'm not going to do that.
Hey, just so you know, it is no longer the best selling. As of late 2025, the second place spot now belongs to Resident Evil 7, and then Resident Evil 2 Remake edged Resident Evil 7 out to be the top selling.
That actually makes sense.
That's why when you said it, I was like,
good.
2 Remake feels like that would be the big one.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that. I mean, it must be
better than 4 Remake.
Actually, Chris, I was going to ask, or not Chris, Saul, did you play, have you played 8? Because I know you played 4 Remake, right?
Yeah, I need to play 8. That's on my list this year to do. Starting in October, I'm going through all the Resident Evil games.
Nice. That's a good time for it. I'm just so excited for Requiem.
So there's this YouTuber that I watch sometimes called Daryl Talks Games. It's a really good channel. I recommend it for anybody who likes kind of video essay style stuff for games. But he did a video where he was talking about the last year. It started from a project to like clear his backlog, but then the last year he let people vote for 1 game a month that he was going to play throughout the year that he was supposed to complete, and he pretty much did it.
I see the inspiration now.
Yeah, so Brennan walked in, and he did not know that I watched that channel, and he walked in, he's like, "Hey, I want to try and beat 1 game that is recommended to me every month this year." I said, "Oh, you've been watching Daryl Talks Games?" He was like, "Yes." But so he went to all of us and got 2 games each from 6 friends, right, so that he could have a whole year. And whenever he did that, he came to me. He was like, Saul recommended Resident Evil 4. And of course, I've not played 4 Remake either. And I said, oh, okay, cool. Remake? Because he also brought up Dead Space. And he was like, I was like, you can play the Dead Space Remake. I think it's a good way to play it. And he's like, Saul told me absolutely do not play the remake as what I play for 4. He demanded that I play the original. And I have to ask you, Chris, do you agree with that? Because you're a big 4 guy and you seem to love the 4 Remake.
I love the 4 Remake too, for the record.
Yeah. That's good. That's good to know because I haven't played it, but I intend to because I have it sitting in a case that Chris sent to me. Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. I think it depends on what you're looking for. I think Resident Evil 4, I guess to preface even my preface, right? I don't think either is specific. I don't think you could call either a survival horror game, but Resident Evil 4 is a good action game. Remake is a good action game, is a great action game. Resident Evil 4 is a better survival horror game than Resident Evil 4 Remake is.
Yes.
So it's like Remake leaned even further into the action.
No, it's what I complained about that everyone made fun of me for at the time with Dead Space and with Resident Evil. Being able to run and shoot makes the game less scary.
Yes.
So it is no longer survival horror.
The only thing I will disagree with is that I think I think there's a very high chance you're right with Resident Evil 4 Remake. But I think Dead Space, all of them, you've always been able to do that. And Dead Space 1 and 2 are some of the scariest games I've ever played, regardless of whether I can move and shoot or not.
Yes, but Resident Evil 4 is not a survival horror game.
Yeah, agreed.
Like at least when you compare it to like Dead Space. Dead Space is trying to scare you. Resident Evil 4 is tense and it loses a lot of the tension by letting you shoot and run. Now, I think, Saul, you can tell me how you feel about this. If you want a fun game, you play Resident Evil 4 Remake, you do not play Resident Evil 4. If you want a fun survival horror game with the tension that comes with Resident Evil 4, you play the original.
Yeah, he asked me, I forgot how he phrased it, but he essentially was like, I asked him, I said, do you want a third-person action adventure shooter that has some horror themes, or do you want a third-person horror or a third-person thriller that just happens to also be a shooter as a secondary game? And he's like, I do not want that. He's like, I want that. I do not want to play run and gun. I said, do not play the remake if you do not want run and gun.
Yeah, the remake is good. It's great, but they also fucked up Resident Evil.
Or at least specifically 4.
No.
Well, you know what I thought was really interesting about that?
They can't go back from the running and shooting now. They can't, so they fucked it up.
They gave it brain rot.
If you like that, that's fine, but that's not what classic Resident Evil is. And of course, it's not in first person either, right? So, like, also I'm not saying that you can't depart from this stuff, but I would argue that 4 or 7 and 8 until the third person update, but that's what neither here nor there. So, with the point I'm making, 7 and 8 are closer to what I would expect as a fan playing Resident Evil 1, 2, 3 than Resident Evil 4 is. You know what I mean? So, yeah, so it really just depends on what you want. I think I would rather play 4 Remake on a regular basis. If you're going to tell me choose one of these two to play for the rest of your life, I'm probably picking 4 Remake. But I think if you want the experience of what 4 was going for until they ruined it, you play Resident Evil 4 regular.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Yeah, go ahead. Well, Saul, you played 2 Remake, right?
Oh, yeah. I love 2 Remake.
See, that was going to be my argument, is that I know Chris also wasn't happy with the fact that they removed that from 2 Remake. Because you could move into Remake while you were shooting. But I feel like, to your point, Chris, about doing away with things, 4 Remake probably does. But I think, interestingly, in my opinion at least, I think 2 Remake keeps all of what made the classic Resident Evil games feel like classic Resident Evil games, and still just happened to also make it to where you could very slowly move while you're aiming.
I still think 2 has claustrophobia, a better sense of claustrophobia than the 4 Remake does.
That's what I was going to say, because I think I was trying to make the point and just veered off. But like, the design of Resident Evil 4 is not as scary as everything else. You know, where
as
like
in everything else in the series.
In the series, yeah, where you look at Resident Evil 2 and it's a claustrophobic, it's very dark. And then half of Resident Evil 2 takes place at like 3:00 in the afternoon on a Sunday. Like it's not like a scary time to be playing a video game. You know, Resident Evil, like a really good example is when you're doing the first fight in the village that ends with the church bells and you fight the first chainsaw person, right?
Very claustrophobic.
In the original Resident Evil 4, when you can't move backwards and shoot the whole time, like one of the things that I remember when I was playing that for the first time is you're running away and you have to run just far enough that now you can turn Leon around, aim, and shoot him in the head. In this one, you still have to do that to a degree, but in Remake, what you're doing is you're running and you're taking pop shots, and then you're turning around, you're taking a bunch of pop shots, and then you're sprinting off, and you're, you know, sliding across the hood of like a wagon or whatever it is, and like you're doing so much stuff that like the way that Resident Evil 4, the original one, was building its tension was you have limited movement. You have to plant and shoot. You have to do this stuff. So you have to be aware of your surroundings, right? One of these guys is going to come out of this barn and you're not going to be able to turn here. And the chainsaw guy is right here. He's right on you. You have to run away. But because you're stressed out and you need to turn around and shoot and you've got to reload your gun, you're trying to find a healing herb. Oh, you've ended up in a dead end. You're dead, right? And that it's not that doesn't happen in 4 Remake, but that you don't have the tension of I can't go and I have to plant here. This is where I'm shooting from. Now I have to find somewhere else to plant. That's lost. That's why tank controls are good.
I'm very interested to finally play 4 Remake because I get what you mean for that game, and depending on how they dial it in and how the levels are designed, which is also an important thing because, like, you know, we talk about Dead Space 1 allowing you to move and shoot just like ultimately very similarly to how Resident Evil 2 Remake did it. But in both games, like Dead Space takes place on the Ishimura. It is narrow, claustrophobic hallways, and you have very limited options of where to go, and you can get surrounded quickly. So it really doesn't matter that you have that much freedom of movement because you can quickly be overwhelmed. But in Remake, if they have it to where the levels are a lot wider as a result of remaking them, or they have the movement tuned too quickly, and even when you're aiming and shooting, you can move around too much. It's just kind of a balancing act. You know, you and I talked about the Silent Hill 2 remake and how surprisingly the combat feels, I don't know how to say it in a better way. The combat for Silent Hill 2 remake feels perfect for what the game is trying to convey while still feeling decent as a game. It bridges that gap as well as it needs to, and I don't think it needed to be better. It just also didn't need to be worse because you don't get frustrated because of the game's ability to move. Or you know your ability to maneuver throughout the game, but you also don't feel like you can just get away from anything in a heartbeat, which is interesting to see. To that end, Saul, did you play the Silent Hill 2 remake?
I did not know.
Yeah, I can't remember if it's on PC now, isn't it?
It is. It's on my wish list. I just haven't bought it yet. I love the game, but
it's really fucking good. It is really good. Yeah, so one of these days when you get around to playing it, that'll be fun. All right, guys, let's move over into one of the only 2 news topics that we're going to do. And we're going to start this first bit off before we actually dive into it with a little comment / question from Rude Days 93. And he said, how does Saul feel that his return to the podcast results in one of the biggest news weeks in gaming in a while?
Absolutely hilarious.
And they knew you were coming back, Saul.
I guess so. I'm so sorry, Xbox fans.
Sony made a crazy decision, and Xbox, just because they were like, we got to give Saul something to talk about. We got to bring the hot fire.
Actually, yeah, I'm so sorry, Bluepoint fans.
So the first thing that we're going to talk about is going to be a little bit briefer, I imagine, because it is interesting. In Saul's tenure in the show, he remembers Phil Spencer coming on and kind of being a big moving part for how Xbox was going to end up going. And with that in mind, I got to remember that The Verge is not free, but Microsoft announced today that they are going to be having Phil Spencer retire effective Monday. And he's going to be replaced not by the person that anybody would have thought would have replaced him, but rather by a new person who came in from the AI side. Everybody thought it was going to be Sarah Bond, but she resigned from the company as well. Meaning that there's some crazy stuff going on over right now in the Microsoft realm for gaming. So, Saul, you've kind of had your ear to the ground for what's going on Xbox, and I think you've seen how insane it has become with just how far they've moved away from their once kind of tried and true exclusive methodology. And that's been interesting to see. But what do you think that this is even going to bring? I mean, what do you think is left of Microsoft or rather, I should say, Xbox as a specific brand that there is for anybody to even shape together? Or do you think this just becomes overseeing?
I have no absolute idea. I can't predict that. I can't even begin to theorize what they're doing. This is such a weird thing. Not that I've been keeping up with Xbox super close or anything, but
sure.
The way they've gone downhill so bad in the past couple of years, on top of the last generation, now with this, it's so wild.
Now, this is where I am curious to see where you're at, because we were also talking about something similar. And I think that there's an argument to be said that they were going to get beat to the punch before the RAM crisis happened. The rumor is that the next Xbox console is actually supposed to essentially be what the Steam machine has been announced to be, which is like a console-like PC that allows you to pull from multiple storefronts. With Steam Deck getting announced, I kind of thought, well, for whatever market there is for that, and I don't know how big that market is, the Steam Deck's going to beat them to the punch. But do you think there's any real value in trying to wash down the PC experience into something that is a lot more console-like? Or do you think that you're just speaking to the wrong markets at that point? Because I feel like the way they're talking, the cost on a device like that is going to just basically be PC price. Like you're going to spend $1,200 on a console. And at that point, do you feel like people would jump on it? Or do you think that they would just go, maybe it's better to buy myself a PC?
Well, honestly, I think with the prices that we've seen out of the PS5 Pro,
sure.
I think that if you give it 3 years and even more tariffs that happen, you're not far away from $1,200 for the next console.
Yeah, regardless of who manufactures it.
Yeah, so I think it's a very weird spot to be in where everything pricing-wise is crazy because of AI. RAM is unobtainable at this point for the price you pay for it. There's no reason you should buy a DDR5 at this point in anyone's lifespan.
So it turns out that, in Avatar, how they sent people off to find this other planet to get unobtainium. Turns out that was RAM. That's what they went to. They're killing all the Na'vi to steal all their resources to make more RAM.
It's ridiculous, man.
Oh, look, we found a natural deposit of GDR5.
Yeah, hold on. Let's see. DDR5, 32 gigabytes is... For the Corsair Vengeance RGB kit, this would have been $200 a year and a half ago. It is almost $515 from Best Buy's website.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, Corsair still has it listed for $217.99. There's no way this is available. Oh, because it's a 16 gigabyte stick. Get screwed.
Oh, it's not. Yeah, you can't do your stagger. Interesting. Yeah, moving that kind of onto the Steam machine, you, of course, I don't think have any reason to buy one. And I mentioned this to Brennan because I was just kind of curious how he felt about it, because y'all mostly use Steam as your primary gaming platform. But do you feel like the Steam machine, rather, is going to pull in a market of people that the Steam Deck didn't hit? Or do you think it's just trying to go for people who got the Steam Deck as their kind of introductory to PC, and they want something a little more powerful with a little more ability to, kind of stretch themselves into, because you can dock or essentially dock a Steam Deck. Do you think that there's really a market there? Because I would imagine you don't have any interest in the Steam machine outside of just it's an interesting idea, right?
I think it's a bit of both. I think that the Steam machine is going to be very valuable for people who are jumping ship from Xbox that want a computer.
Yeah. But
they don't want to build one themselves, or they don't want to buy a pre-built. And so this kind of keeps them in that console mindset, because that's essentially what it really is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's weird because I think we're going to start seeing the lines blur. I said 4 years ago on the podcast that in 10 years, there's not going to be a console versus PC mentality. It's going to be a machine. The lines are going to blur more and more on custom PC built or building and like the new consoles. I assume that consoles coming out soon are going to be modular, and they already are. We see them adding disk drives. You can pop in and out your hard drives like you kind of always have been able to do. But I think that that's going to be where people who jump ship from Xbox or PlayStation jump into PC gaming as a safe place as an introduction.
Yeah, not quite as complicated as going with a full-on PC where you have to set all that up. A lot of that, so, I've not actually used the Steam Deck much. I've used it a little bit. I used one at a pawn shop when I was trying to check out how it was for Donovan because he was looking at buying one. But does the Steam Deck, and I assume the Steam Machine by extension, if it's going through that, what does it do for making sure that it kind of eases, or does it do any, in your opinion, to ease the issue that sometimes props up on PC when you actually have a build where you have driver issues and stuff like that? Does it kind of smooth all that over in a way that you think console players would be able to kind of be like, it's a small adjustment, but it's easy enough to get over?
I don't even know how drivers exist on Linux.
That's what I was kind of curious about, because the Steam Deck and the Steam Machine are both Linux, technically lying to the games to say that they're running on PC even though they're not.
No, that's not how that works. They actually.
Oh no. I thought it was running a translation layer.
I don't think so. People are developing natively for Linux now.
Oh, I know some people are, and those games benefit, but for the vast majority of games that don't, doesn't.
No, you can't play Destiny 2 on Steam Deck because Destiny 2 is a Windows only game. Like, you can't download it at all. You have to dual boot Windows.
Yeah, but I thought that was because Destiny is still under. Is it on Steam?
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, then I wonder how that's working. Because I mean, of course, indie games, I understand that, but what's the Proton compatibility layer? Isn't that what it was called?
Yeah, I think I'm not sure what Proton is actually.
Let's see. Proton is an open source compatibility layer developed by Valve based on Wine that allows Windows-based games to run on Linux, including Steam Decks. It translates DirectX, which is, of course, not on Linux, API calls to Vulkan for better performance, and is integrated into Steam, making thousands of Windows games playable on Linux with minimal setup.
So then I wonder why like Windows games cannot run on like Destiny.
You know what
Windows
I think it is? I think it's that games that use certain anti-cheats.
That might be what it is actually.
It's kernel-based anti-cheat, and there's no way to lie about a PC kernel. That's built into your BIOS. I think that's what it is, because I remember someone else saying that there's certain games that you can't because of anti-cheat measures. I think you can't play Fortnite on the Steam Deck either, right? But that's also because of Epic Game Store.
I have no idea.
Yeah, well, stuff like that's interesting because, Valve is also doing for the VR that they're coming out with that they showed off. They're doing an ARM-based translation layer so that games for PC it translates PC instructions into ARM, like a cell phone or even like this little AYN Thor or a Steam, or a Switch, instead of x86. And it does that so that you can play some of those games without actually having to run Windows, which is interesting to see. They're doing, even though I don't deal with much that Valve does, I think they're a really cool company and they do a lot of cool shit. So, one of these days, who knows where I'll move along to. I think it's weird to see where they're going, but back to the Xbox of it all real quick. Chris, have you thought that this was even something that you thought was coming anytime soon?
I mean, no, but I'm not surprised either.
That's exactly where I'm at.
Yeah,
I can't see. I'm surprised in the fact that I go, oh, I guess they really did do it. But I would have thought that if they were going to push him out, they would have done so. I thought they would have brought someone else in to make the move towards being multi-platform, and instead they elevated him even higher within Microsoft. And I was like, this is weird. You remember, because he originally was head of Xbox, and then he moved into something within Microsoft specifically, if I remember correctly, wasn't he?
I'm not sure.
I got to look that up, because I think the Xbox president has been Sarah Bond, right?
Yes, he was CEO.
He was CEO of gaming instead of just Xbox, which pushed him above. Yeah. So that's been interesting to see. In a weird way, they kind of treated him like he always had this feeling of like, I guess he'll just never go. But I guess it's a foolish thing to say about any company, Yeah,
I think I kind of felt like he was kind of safe no matter what happened, because he was like a friendly face to get bad news from. You don't want a mean doctor to tell you have cancer. It's kind of the same thing going on here, where you have to kind of, placate the people here and be like, oh, yeah, I play State of Decay also, man. like you kind of have to do that, or I loved Starfield and it's going to be even better on PlayStation, right? Like you have to have a guy who like people kind of trust. And I feel like, and another thing, we'll talk about Bluepoint later, but like I feel like Phil Spencer and Herman Hulst have the same level of being effective at their jobs, but people like Phil Spencer, so he gets away with kind of sucking. Right? Like people talk a lot of mess about Herman Hulst, but like if you want to compare the closures on some of these places, like Bluepoint hadn't made a game in 6 years. Phil Spencer shut down a studio that made a Game of the Year contender a year before. Like, like what are we really talking about here? So I don't know. I feel like they're both kind of the same. I just feel like Phil had this like camaraderie with the Xbox people, and that's why I figured he was kind of safe. And I felt like Xbox would use him like, hey, Phil, here's fucking $50 million a year to just be the guy who takes the punches, put stuff on your shelf so people do some speculation, and we'll just go from here. So that's why I was a little surprised.
Here's the interesting part that got me. So Asha Sharma is the CEO that is coming over to take over the gaming division. And one of the things I thought was really weird is she said that she would renew focus on the Xbox console, aiming to, quote, recommit to our core Xbox fans and players. Mm-hmm. Do you think that there's a chance in hell that they actually back off of the every game going everywhere? Or do you think that this is just corporate speak for, we're going to try really hard to make a console that you like and want to buy, even though there's no exclusives to ever make you have to buy?
No, it's corporate speak for, we signed a contract. I found her very interesting in her first correspondence, because she did say that, right? It was a lot of like, oh yeah, like bring back Xbox. And I thought it was a little weird. And tell me how you guys feel about this. I found it a little weird and almost a little telling that the old CEO of AI or whatever she was, the second she got off the A project, was like, yeah, we're not doing none of that AI slot bullshit. I was like, are you kind of like saying the quiet part out loud here? Like when you said that, like you just headed up AI and now it's AI slop? Like, are you grifting? Like, what are we doing here? I don't think that's a bad word for it, but like, you're trying to just appeal to the gamers. So you're like, yeah, AI slop. By the way, we're laying off all of, the Horizon team, and Horizon 6 through 7 are coming out next year. It's odd.
So the one last bit of information that I thought was interesting here is how quickly this was announced. Because, of course, if you don't hear anything besides the fact that they announced that he's retiring and that's effective Monday and all this stuff is happening, it feels like, did they push him out and force him to retire? Which is always a reality that could be the case. But they made it a point in this to say, last year, Phil Spencer made the decision to retire from the company, and since then, we've been talking about succession planning. That came from Satya Nadella, right, the Microsoft CEO at large. And I struggle with this, because if you've known for a year, why are we hearing about it the work day before it's technically going to happen? Like, we don't count Saturday, Sunday. We heard about this the day before it happens. And I think that that's really, really weird. And I have a hard time landing on it. Chris, you're muted.
Oh, dear.
God damn it. I think retire is a really nice way of saying he was going to quit. We gave him a bonus not to quit. Because do you remember what happened last year?
I guess I must not. I mean,
Halo, Gears,
all that shit.
3 pillars of Xbox.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like,
well, what are you
by the
getting
way,
at with that?
We're done.
Oh, yeah, did they announce a new Halo game? Do I remember that right?
Yeah,
Halo
Combat Evolved.
It's Combat Evolved
Campaign
remake,
Evolved.
but it's called Campaign Evolved, and it's going to be an Unreal Engine.
What I'm getting at is,
and it's coming to PlayStation. Day one.
Yeah, I've got it wishlisted on my PlayStation. It's crazy. I think what I'm getting at is that either Phil got pushed out, but what I think is that once he just told them he was retiring and quitting when they decided to go full multi-platform.
Yeah,
and I think
I don't
that's
know.
why I think that seems to be why him and Sarah Bond did it at the same time, right? Because there's no other reason.
But
as
why
Sarah
not
Bond would
announce
leave.
this? I almost wonder, was that just like to not shake up investors? Be like, wait, somebody's retiring. Is there a worry? Do it at a better time? Because Microsoft had a bad year last year for AI.
I got to check something. Keep talking.
It did not go super well for them. So, Saul, even though you're so PC focused these days, it's ironic that you play a lot on your desktop, right? So that's technically a Microsoft machine, but you also play a lot on your Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
You don't actually interact very much with the actual Microsoft gaming side, the Xbox side of PC very often, do you?
I have probably not even opened up like Xbox Store or Windows Store, whatever it's called, in like 3 years.
Yeah, it's bad. But it's bad, by the way. I give you that.
Yeah.
It does not work very well. It doesn't download games often. It'll start and then it just refuses to. Whenever I was trying to download the Master Chief Collection back when we were playing, I don't know if you remember that. I almost had to go buy it from Steam because even though I had Game Pass at the time, I could not get it to download anything except for Halo 2.
That's awful.
And I had to do all sorts. And apparently everybody has that problem on there. And people were like, I just gave up and went and bought it on Steam. And I'm like, how crazy is it that your game, your flagship game for all these years on your product, on your platform, people just go buy it from your competitor because they're fucking tired of trying to figure out how to make it work. Insane world we live in.
Not good.
Do you I know this is probably not going to happen, but do you see any way truly, because you also haven't messed with Epic Game Store much, right? You've pretty much avoided it. You just use Steam.
Yeah, the only time I used Epic Game Store was when I got the free Kingdom Hearts bundle thing they had.
Oh, yeah.
That's been it.
With that in mind.
So, okay. Hold on. I'm sorry to interrupt. Do you mind?
Good.
Because I'm pretty sure my conspiracy theory on why we found out today is 100% accurate. You know what happened 1 minute after Phil Spencer tweeted his resignation?
What's that?
The stock market closed.
So it was hey, we don't have to worry about this affecting the way that our stocks look.
IGN had it leaked it 30 minutes before the stock market closed. Phil Spencer posted at 3:59 p.m.
Wow.
And Eastern, it closes 4 o'clock.
So look, it sounds like your thing of why it was today and my thing of why they did it on short notice are kind of the same, right? It's just they didn't want it to affect their stocks.
Exactly.
That's rough. That's really crazy.
That's crazy.
But clearly, Epic hasn't done anything to kind of move you over there, and I think that's a really hard hill to climb. Even though they're fighting like hell, I'll give Epic that much credit. They have. I actually thought that by now they would have gave up on the Epic Game Store, but they haven't. So good for them. But with that said, do you think that there's anything Microsoft could realistically do to move you and PC gamers at large to actually using their service on their platform? Or do you think Steam is just kind of in this? I don't ever like saying too big to fail, but I think to some degree it becomes true in some markets. And I think in the PC market, Steam and therefore Valve might genuinely be too big to fail.
So picture this, right? Like picture you having to download a launcher for Epic Games on your PlayStation.
Yeah.
You're just not going to.
No.
That's exactly how I am with Steam. I'm not going to deviate away from Steam. There is no reason to get me to. All my play hours are devoted into Steam. All my achievements or trophies, or whatever you want to call them, are devoted to Steam, which I got all the trophies in Elden Ring and Night Rain. Again, because I did it on PlayStation, not for Night Rain. Good. But it's all there. Like I'm all tired in this ecosystem that is perfectly fine for me. I don't need to go or do anything extra, so I'm just not going to. It's like Death Stranding 2 came out, and I was like, oh, I love Death Stranding 1. It's one of my favorite PlayStation 4 games. I'm just going to wait until it comes out on PC because there's no point in me like playing it on PlayStation 5. I can just play it on PC when it comes out. I can just wait. Any launcher and any game that has like an exclusive behind it, it will eventually come. And if it does not, I'm still waiting on Bloodborne. I don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
And I'm losing faith in that. That's just not going to happen, especially after Bluepoint getting closed.
Yeah. Chances are looking lower and lower. But, I think that you're right, because as weird as it is, there's something about something being pure. And I know that what you're getting at is technically funny because what you're arguing, and I get it, you're already there, so you're not going to do this. But ironically, what Steam is you having to download another launcher on the platform that you're on. If you were going to take PC gaming as its normal built-in, the people who make it, you would use the Microsoft Store, but it's awful and you don't want to, so you go out of your way to find something else, but you've already committed all that time and energy into that, so you don't want to add yet another extension to it, right? And in a weird way, I dealt with that today. I told you I was frustrated because at work they moved our phones over, and I haven't had a Samsung device in so long, and I was getting so frustrated because it's Android. So I go to log in with Google, but then it says, well, you need to log in with a Samsung account, which you didn't have to do originally. I don't know if you remember that. Back in the early days, you didn't have to have a Samsung account in order to use their phones.
You have to have a Samsung account to use their phones now?
Yes. And so once I clicked it to log in, I was like, oh, fuck, okay. And then it says log in. So you can log in to a Samsung account with Google, like you can on other things where it just makes it like a sub account through your Google.
Oh, okay.
And so I was like, I don't really like to have to do that, but I'm going to. And I click it and it goes, choose what permissions you want to give to Samsung, to your Samsung account. And I was like, well, I don't want to have any of this shit and it gave me the option, right? So I unclicked all of them and then I hit continue. And then it would just take me back to the page to log in. And I started getting frustrated because I started having the realization that this is just like when Ubisoft lets you buy their game on Steam, but this still makes you download the fucking Uplay app. And then you have to open Uplay while Steam's open, and then it opens another thing just to play this game through Steam, and you're getting all these layers. And I started thinking, in a weird way, all Samsung has done with their One UI or whatever the fuck it's called now, and their account is they're just adding an unnecessary layer to this simple thing that I get whenever I use the Pixel and I use pure Android. And it just started frustrating me. And so to that end, I can kind of see your point, right? It's like having to go this extra unnecessary layer is annoying. And it's a layer of friction that most of the time you're not going to really want to do. It works when it's all you've known, right? If all you ever had is a Samsung phone and you've made your Samsung account from there, you're not going to feel that layer of friction. And so you're fine. You just keep moving through it. But the moment that you go, well, I'm going to move from Samsung to iPhone, and they go, okay, well, you need an Apple account. We're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, like I'm sure it's the same thing moving to Apple at this point. But a lot of people, they always use the term or the phrase for Apple, and this is, I think, this applies to all of these that we've been talking about. They say you're trapped by the ecosystem.
Sure. Yeah.
Are you trapped, or does it just work so well for what you need that you just don't need to leave, or you don't see a need to leave or a reason to leave? Like, I keep thinking to go back to Android occasionally, just because, okay, like I'll have issues with my phone, or at the end of the day, for me, I have no preference over iPhone versus Android for my needs. I didn't ever care about custom widgets and stuff like that on Android. So I went to iPhone, and iPhone has widgets and stuff now, and I use them like I did on my Android for the little that I did, which are very basic clock and calendar widgets or whatever.
Or like the Spotify and or YouTube music one. That's literally the only widget I've ever used on either of these phones.
Yep. And it boils down to user experience and the UI, and that kind of is what still fits into user experience. But like, occasionally I'll have issues out of my iPhone where it's just like freezing, and it's like there's no reason that this like year and a half old phone should freeze like it is. Yeah. And then I look online and I see that people are having issues with the same thing, or occasionally my refresh rate on my phone will go from like 120 or whatever to 60, and I'm like, what is it doing? And that's a common thing they haven't fixed for like a year now, and it's like Google Pixel's looking real good, but then I thought back to Google Pixel, what happened to me 10 years ago. But I feel like the same thing that happened to me with the Google Pixel 10 years ago, 10 years to go by, I think that's enough time for them to have forgiveness.
Secondarily true, but also you didn't get the Pixel 1, right? You're talking about when you had the Nexus. But it was still a Google phone, but it was a Nexus 6P, or did you get the
I got the Pixel 2 XL.
That's okay. Yeah,
and I paid out of pocket for it. It was like $1,500, I think,
both of
or
us
$1,200.
Oh no, it was 1,000. Actually, it was 900. It was $899.
Well, okay, so I got that, and I got Eddie, the non.
That's
XL
right. Yeah,
version.
the non XL. That's right. Yeah.
So in one purchase, I spent X amount of money, however much that was, for like a month and a half later to go by for my phone to do resets and for Google to tell me, oh, just use your phone in safe mode for 2 weeks before we can diagnose this issue.
Yeah, that was
like,
stupid.
You want me to make my phone a dumb phone for 2 weeks so you could diagnose the issue instead of just recognizing that there's an issue here because there's other people online saying there was.
Yeah.
And at that point in time, I think I actually jumped back over to Samsung for a little bit before I went to iPhone.
That sounds
and
right.
forgot how garbage Samsung was. And before I jumped from Samsung to iPhone, Google actually announced a replacement thing for that exact problem I had. But they finally acknowledged that it was an issue for select Google Pixel 2 XLs, and they would let you send it back regardless of your warranty and get it fixed. And I almost did that. I still have my Google Pixel 2. It's within reach of me right now.
I do too. Ironically. Now, and that was back when Pixel was not made by Google. They didn't start making their own phones until the Pixel 6. And the irony, Saul, is that my work phone has been the Pixel 6. And as crazy as it is, the Pixel 6 is now, 4 years old, I guess, technically, because we're on Pixel 10. That phone still works excellent, which is good. I'll give them credit.
It had a great camera for it at the time, too.
It did, and it gets updates all the time. It has Android 16 right now, and they've gotten really good about that. But you're right. It's kind of like you remember whenever the internet used to just be kind of crappy around here when it was still cable one. And I used to always say, man, if we could just if we get another internet provider around here who can fix the problem I'm having, I'll do it. And thankfully, Sparklight fixed their own shit, and I don't really have a problem with it anymore. So it's fine. But I was ready to jump ship. And I do the same, right? If PlayStation started annoying the shit out of me, and Chris always goes towards I've got 10,000 games I've bought on sales over all these years. And don't get me wrong, that is a real consideration. It truly is. It's one for you too, right? So if you jump ship from Steam, which of course you don't on computer, you don't have to leave it behind. You can still jump to Microsoft being your main one and have all your Steam stuff there to use when you want. But there is still kind of that thing of, it's just easy. All my stuff's here, all my considerations, and buying games on here is still just easier than starting to do so elsewhere. But I think that what you said really chimes in on the fact of, I think if any company starts to do enough shit that you don't like, you really just will go, I don't care how convenient being in this ecosystem is. As long as my needs are met by another one, I'll jump ship. And I think we've seen that a lot of times. I think that we've seen people jump from Xbox to PlayStation, jump back from PlayStation back to Xbox, jump from Xbox or PlayStation to PC, and never really go back. That happens, right? I think Saul made his jump. 2022, right? Maybe 23. Yeah, and you've never really had a reason to go back. And I think at this point, I don't even think that Sony being like, hey, here's a PS6 is going to change that, because why would it?
I gave it 2 big attempts, right? Final Fantasy 16 and Spider-Man 2. And Spider-Man 2 wasn't really subject to this, but while playing Final Fantasy 16, I kept thinking to myself, this game is not open world in the sense that I am in this massive, expansive area that this game has to load a lot of detail. Why does it run like crap? Why does it look great at 30 frames per second, but it cannot hold 60 frames per second without looking like a blurry mess?
Yeah.
And it really off-put me for how much I liked the game. I was such a let down by the performance mode that I still want to get it on Steam just so I can go back and play it at 60 frames per second with it looking good.
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I just, I have not seen a need to jump back for any reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. And it'll be interesting to see if that ever ends up shifting around. And honestly, Chris, I always wait for the day. What really does happen if we hit a point where we're kind of just yeah, we're done with PlayStation? I don't think it'll happen a lot also just because of my nature of wanting to play on a couch and be able to sit and chill. And even to Saul's point about why he plays so much on his Steam Deck, right? It has been nice playing my Portal sometimes, or my Vita, or now this AYN Thor while sitting on the couch watching TV with my wife. But it's still the couch aspect, right? A lot of why, even though I love PCs, a lot of the reasons I don't play on mine is because I spend all day on them, and then it's separated from everybody, and there's not a good space for my wife to come and sit with me comfortably and really interact with me. So for, like Saul said, for my needs, PC is not currently a good fit, but there's still things that Steam Deck and that goes towards. And if they continue to go that route of making it easier and easier, or if something like the Steam machine makes it even easier to play it comfortably from a couch and do so at a pretty good power level, who knows what would happen? And I think a lot of the times it almost happens without you even thinking about it. Like Saul, you had to make a specific decision to move to Android, or from Android to Apple. But I think you can make a different decision to like buy a Steam machine just as a secondary thing, start playing it, and then just over time notice that you've drifted to playing it more and more and more and more until one day you just stop turning on the other thing. And I think that's kind of what happened with you on PC. I don't really remember it being like you made a decision. It was just kind of like, oh, I haven't logged on to my PlayStation in a couple months. And now it's a year, and now it's 2 years, and now it's well, I'll try Final Fantasy. And then after Final Fantasy, 9 months until Spider-Man 2, I'll try one more time. And then you kind of just go, I just might as well wait for these games to hit PC where I'm going to play them anyway, right?
Yep. That kind of boiled down to it, that I was more or less let down just by either performance or by the mentality that I started to have this preference shift towards the end of like playing a lot of PlayStation stuff, where I was just sick and tired of third-person action adventure games that had 25-hour-long stories that could be 12 hours long. And I just was so like, if a first-party game come out, we're talking like for a AAA first-party game, it's 3 years between the big ones. And when they finally come out, it's asking me to stop everything I'm doing to focus on this story that only has like 12 hours worth of story content in it, but then does things that makes it so that it lasts way longer than that. Looking at you, God of War Ragnarok, and your horse thing again, like we talked about earlier, like your pacing started just really wearing on me thin, Sony. So I just had to stop. Like I just was like done. The stories weren't worth it anymore for me. Have they even released a big AAA third-party game since I stopped playing after Spider-Man 2?
I don't think so. I can't think of one.
No,
I can't think of a series either.
I mean, they've released like, no, not that. Like Saul, you would actually probably love Astrobot. It's really good. And that's a game that I don't know if it'll come to PC. It wouldn't surprise me if it did, but it also wouldn't surprise me if it didn't. But I'm trying to think of other things that may have happened, and interestingly enough, I don't think so. Soros is about to come out, but
Soros is going to be great, and that is going to come to PC though,
and that's going to come to PC eventually. Yeah, so it's not a huge worry there. No, I don't know, Chris. I kind of feel bad being a PlayStation podcast and not being able to, off the top of my head, say what the last exclusive Ghost of Yotei.
Ghost of Yotei.
I guess Ghost of Yotei is one. How long is it to beat that game?
About 30 to 40 hours.
Yeah, 30, 40.
Same thing that you're talking about, but it's an open world, to throw that out there. So, I mean, it is kind of as much as you want to go. And it is a good game, by the way. So when it eventually comes to PC, if you liked Tsushima, which I don't remember if you played it or not.
I played it. I have it on PC.
And of course, Death Stranding 2, which you talked about earlier, came out last year as well.
Great game.
Is that yeah, I guess it is a AAA first-party title. Yeah. Is it a first-party game?
Phil Spencer would say it's a first-party title. So
I'd say it's a first-party title too. They funded it and treat it like a PlayStation Studios game. So I think that's what I'd call that too. So those are the big ones last year. Which, last year was a good year for games. Even if it wasn't, I mean, you had things like Lost Soul Aside, but that's not AAA, and it was incubated with and unfortunately, Saul, I think you remember me talking about Lost Soul Aside. That game ended up not being great.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
Yeah, that is very
Sons
disappointing.
of Sparta. Yeah,
Sons of Sparta is cool so far.
I'm just, I don't know. It's weird. I'm like listening to you guys. Funny, like I don't really have a reason to be in the PlayStation ecosystem.
Outside of it's just where you've always been.
Yeah, there's ironically, no, it's not where I've always been.
Well, I would say always, but
because I started with
decade.
Xbox and like 360, and
well, as you always say, the generation to lose was not the one where you started. A lot of people started building up their digital library, right? I think a lot of your friction, Chris, really is that clearly you seem to enjoy playing on PS5 because you have a PC and you don't play on it all that much, and you play PS5 where your PC is at. So it's not a place and time thing. You could play PC just as easily from the same chair that you're in right now, and you don't. And I think that says a lot about just where your habits lie, and that's not a bad thing. But I do think a lot of the friction is that you have this built-in thought of I'm giving up a lot of games.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think the thing for me is like it is just an all. I like the biggest thing for me is I do really like trophies. I find them fun. I like going for them. But what trophies provide for me, and I think the biggest reason that I want to keep it, I try to play almost everything I can on PlayStation, is because I like going into my PSN profiles and like for a lot of games, like knowing where I was, or even like when I look at something like my Fallout 3 Platinum took 10 years.
Yeah.
You know, or my God of War, 7 years.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to have, you know, these little histories, right? And yeah, like I have a stupid amount of games on my PlayStation. But like it's also one of these things where like I would not be inherently opposed to like buying a bunch of these on Steam or buying a bunch of these on Xbox. But like everything that I do is here. You play on PlayStation, Sean plays on PlayStation, Ben plays on PlayStation, my brothers play on PlayStation. You know, MLB The Show is a PlayStation game. Like, I don't know. There's not much. There's no reason for me to move anywhere. And I think the reason that it's funny for me is that I don't like any Sony first party games.
Yeah, that's true.
Don't like Horizon. I like God of War 2018. Don't like Ragnarok. Like
Days Gone bangs.
Days Gone is a fucking banger. You know, Ghost of Tsushima didn't hit me. You know, I think Astrobot is fine, propped up by nostalgia, and like that's okay because like I still enjoy the platform, right? And I'm on the. I get to wear the winning team shirt
in the weirdest way possible. Which I mean, you liked Death Stranding, and it was that's a good example too. But I think that in the weirdest way possible, you actually might be a really surprisingly good proof positive against an argument that I've long. My opinion on it shifted to a degree. I still think exclusives are important, but I think you're a good example of why exclusives are not the only thing that keeps you on a platform. And so you don't have to have exclusives to have people just locked into your system and not wanting to shift. It is a good reason to get people to buy your thing, right? Like I think at this point, Saul, I think you'd say if you could go back, you probably wouldn't have even really bought your PS5.
No, I wouldn't say that. I do like having it for the games that I did play on it, like Elden Ring initially and Demon Souls. Yeah. It was worth the purchase for sure. It just consoles now are in this weird spot where every generation there's not enough AAA first party support for me to last that entire generation due to the gap
6
of
years
the games.
Between games, 4 to 6, yeah.
And then for me to have to then buy a new system and then pay a fee to get those upgrades is whack. I'm not doing that. I'm not
Respect.
I'm not paying $20 to get the Death Stranding director's cut, which is just the upgrade package and like the DLC or whatever it was, or whatever you call that for every other first party game there is. I'm not doing that. It's not.
Saul, you telling me you don't want to spend $70 goddamn dollars on a remake of The Last of Us 1 story only?
Is that a thing?
That's how much The Last of Us Part 1's remake was. It was $70 and it did not include factions from the original release.
Wait. Is that 4 times that The Last of Us 1 has come out now?
The Last of Us 1 came out as a PS3 game, a PS4 game, and then a PS5 remake. So
it didn't come out as a PS4 Pro game or something?
They got a PS4 Pro update, but it wasn't
maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Release, yeah. So there you have it. Yeah, that is one of the craziest things they've done all generation, in my opinion. And I will continue to stand on that. I bought the game at 70. I enjoyed it and I played it. I still think that was an asinine thought process. But definitely whenever you cancel the goddamn game that you go, well, we didn't include factions because we're making factions sequel. And then you go, actually, guys, we didn't want to become a games as a service studio. And Bungie told us that's what we'd have to do. So canceled. It's a really interesting. I don't by any means hate PlayStation. It's my favorite place to play still, thankfully, because I mean there is something to be said about like having this long-term nostalgia for something, and it's just it's not. Eventually, if a company starts doing stupid enough stuff, always be open to the idea of moving. But also if the company's not doing anything particularly bad and you just feel comfortable, like Saul said with iPhone, right? Like you just hit a point where you're like, well, my needs are being met and the grass may not actually be greener on the other side. And I'm happy here, even if I have a little complaints. you just kind of stick around. And I don't think that's a bad thing. And Sony still does put out a lot of good games. And I mean, do I think that all of them are like I said, for Horizon Forbidden West, I didn't regret playing it. I don't think it was as good as Zero Dawn was in context to its release. Ragnarok is really good, but I don't think it's as good as God of War 2018 is in context to its release, or just kind of even in general. I think 2018 is an all-around better piece of art and game, ultimately speaking. But just because all that's true, it's like I still really enjoy I've enjoyed every exclusive they put out almost, So, but I agree with you that as a reason to pull you in, they may not be, definitely when they're going to come out on PC eventually. So if you really do want to play them, you can play them.
I think that also depends on how old you are, right? Like I'm telling you right now, this would be called fucking AB, because like if I hadn't played Killzone 2 in Sean's basement as a child, like this would not be I would not be on a PlayStation podcast. So we go back to exclusives do matter, and it's the reason that you came into PlayStation anyway. Yeah, that's kind of exactly what I'm saying, where it's like exclusives do sell the console, And like, Saul is playing in like arguably the best place, but I also don't want to deal with any of the periphery shit, like he goes back to even like the conversation we were having before. I would rather spend more. Actually, your thing is more expensive, but I would rather spend more on a $200 copy of Pokemon Emerald in box and a $150 DSi than have to utter the word driver. You literally said to me yesterday, I got to figure out the drivers to get my Switch going. I went, why? Go play your Switch like an adult. Like that's literally like all. And it's not even
thankfully it's only been for no, I get you, but and thankfully it's only been for the Switch. The other ones have been 3DS was just download, put the game on, and go. I didn't have to do anything else. You have settings that you can go like, do I want to play this game blurry original resolution, or just tell it to play all my games in the future at higher resolutions? But your point stands that the Switch, I had to massage that motherfucker until I got it figured out, and I chose a hard game to emulate on purpose for that reason. And but that sucks to have to do if that's not your interest. Yeah, like right now I can pick up and play any single game I want, and it'll work, it'll run. I mean, I have a PS5 Pro, so take that for what you will, but like it will run fantastic 99.9% of my playtime on the game. So it's like, what am I'm not looking for anything more. And I have this history here, but like I don't want to fuck around with stuff. I was even like thinking about like, because I want to do a Resident Evil playthrough again before 9, which is, it's not going to happen. It comes out in like 2 weeks, but I wanted to do all of that. But then I'm kind of like, okay, I was looking at buying Resident Evil 4 on Steam, right? Because I have the Platinum. It's on sale right now. And then like the fact that I would have to spend 15 seconds figuring out my settings. It's like, I'll just buy it digitally on PlayStation. Yeah. Like, for all the conveniences of PC and of any other of these things, even like your thing, it's not easier than turning on a console. It's true. That is what consoles have always excelled at. Plug, play. Exactly. And I'm always curious if PC can ever hit that point where it can really get that way. I mean, again, I haven't dealt with those things enough. I don't even think Saul would necessarily disagree. Is like, I don't think PC gamers want to do that.
No, yeah.
Well, now you get into a weird thing.
I think half of a game for a PC gamer is going, how many clouds can I put in the sky before it runs like shit? Like that's half their fun. And that's fine.
I was about to say, for PC people, you get into, because it's even like you're talking about this thing. Half of the community on this is all about figuring out how to make this thing push it so far that it runs like shit. And it's people being like, the fun I find in it is tinkering around until I have, and don't get me wrong, there's a little bit of fun for me in that because I think technology is interesting and figuring out how you can make something emulate one of the most recent consoles well is kind of interesting. But there are people who literally, they're like, oh, I got it, and I hardly ever game on it. I just try to figure out the best way I can make everything run, and I have fun doing that. I'm like, oh, that sounds like a fucking nightmare. Saul, do you remember? Do you remember when you were like, when you first left the show, and you were like, it's not necessarily that I want to leave so much as like, I only have so much time. now, and when I only have so much time, do I want to spend the time that I have talking about games that I'm not even really getting to play, or do I just want to play the fucking game? And that's where you get into that sometimes, right? You get into that with PC gaming sometimes. It depends. I think those usually, Chris, to your point, that's really only usually games that just for some reason shit the bed, like Arkham Knight, or games like that, where for some reason they just don't run well and you got to figure it out. But even that little 15 minutes of bullshitting around to figure out the right driver is enough for certain people to be like, I don't want any friction. I want the game to just happen with as little friction as possible. And there is really a market for that. But there are people on PC who the whole point is, I want to see how far I can overclock my PC before it shuts off.
Yeah, I don't know. I've also never, like, the accoutrements that people always talk about on PC gaming has never appealed to me. Yeah. Like, I don't understand the appeal of, playing Fallout 3 as Macho Man Randy Savage. And every time I shoot my gun, it goes, Macho Man. Like, I don't understand why. I can understand why you would do that and be like, yo, Brett, you got to come see this. And then we play, like, 3 missions we're running around the wasteland and we've shot the gun that says Macho Man. Like, we've done that for 5 minutes, and then I'm going to delete those fucking mods because who wants to play Fallout 3 like that?
Yeah.
I've never understood mods for that reason. Like, I genuinely know that there's some stuff like, oh, you can, someone added like New Vegas into Fallout 3, and oh, by the way, you have to launch a nuke inside your computer to get it to work. I don't get it. Like, I don't understand.
Look, on a small level, I do. On the big level like that, no, I don't care about that. What I do like, though, is like being able to make a game 60 frames per second. That's not, right? That's cool. I love that. And like the idea of Shad PS4 being able to eventually run Bloodborne at 4K 60 frames per second, since PlayStation seemingly has no interest in doing so, is cool. And I'm glad that exists. And sometimes it's even small things like Saul, I remember, was always a big fan of the like Skyrim and Fallout mods that would like make the game into survival games, right? Before they added that in as like a real thing in like Fallout 76. Saw, I remember being really into the one where it's like, oh, temperature affects you and you got to eat and sleep and stuff. And I think that small things like that are really cool. And even one of my favorite examples of it, as weird as it is there's a mod on PC for Skyrim that makes it to where the whole world is literally seamless. So when you open the door to go into the city, there is no load screen. The door opens and you just run in. And that's fucking cool. That's the kind of stuff. It is amazing. That's the kind of stuff that I think PC modding and even like small modding for some of these games that I'm doing on this Anthor are, I think that's cool. But I agree with you. I guess what I'd say is, Chris, you clearly have interest to some degree, right? Like you had interest in playing Days Gone again at 4K 60 frames per second with a new chance to platinum it, but you just, again, you want that with as little friction as possible, because you can you could have done all that if on PC or whatever, but it's like, I don't want to have to deal with setting that up and making it work. But you have enough interest that you bought it. I don't actually remember which one of those two bought it, but I think you would have bought it even if it wasn't me,
I would have.
So point being is it kind of works out that way. So I think it is figuring out what your level is, because I want to play Demon Souls in good shape and condition, and you could do that on RCPS3 before Sony even remade Demon Souls, but them remaking it is a lot more appealing to me because it's simple, easy, still looks and runs better than the work that people did, and it doesn't lose the spirit of it because it's a pretty faithful remake, right? All that to say, this is a really good way to transition into the other piece of news that we're going to cover before we round the show off with a couple of questions. And that is that Sony has apparently, according to Jason Schreier, announced, or rather behind the scenes currently, shut down the developer behind big remakes such as the Shadow of the Colossus remake and the Demon Souls remake, Bluepoint Games, which they purchased back in 2021, 2022. And they did not get to put a single game out within their time being a PlayStation studio. And as they were bought, they were a remake studio that got bought and then immediately put on things that are not remakes. And I always wonder how much of that was Bluepoint's decision versus motivation from Sony to make it easier to get games greenlit if you move away from what they were wanting to do, versus Sony mandating them to do something. There's all sorts of weird things that go in there. But I don't think I can think of a studio that was bought and wasted as so much as this in recent memory, because this is, Chris, you remember back whenever acquisition, central was happening, and I said it's exciting, but it's also scary because there will be studios who would never close down if they were independent, but all that happens is someone buys them, makes them do other shit, and then goes, actually, you kind of cost us a bunch because we told you to do some shit that didn't make sense, and we're going to cut you goodbye. I see no world in where if Bluepoint had not been purchased by Sony, ironically, I actually think if Sony hadn't bought Bluepoint, we would have actually had another PlayStation remake from them by now. And so we live in this world where this business decision was made, and I just don't understand it.
I'm of two minds on this. Obviously, I think like knee-jerk reaction is like, what the fuck is Sony doing? And Herman Hulst should be fired and, hung from the gallows. But like in Minecraft, obviously. But like at the same time, because I remember having this conversation, and just to point out, I was right again. Because I remember Bluepoint talked about the fact that they were excited to start doing their own games. And I remember day one, why the fuck would anyone let you do that?
But hear me out, though. I'm with you, and maybe Occam's razor would tell you that is the most simple explanation, and is what happened. But also, what happens at companies whenever you're mandated to start making an original game? What do? When my company decides to move us from AT&T to Verizon, can I just go to customers and be like, I fucking hate that they moved us from AT&T to Verizon. I don't like Verizon. I don't like the phone they got me. I can't go to a customer and say that. What I have to tell the customer is, oh, they moved our phone, and sorry I was out of bit for it, but we got these great new phones. All business decisions that happen like that are always, when you feed it back through to the customer, when it's happened from the people above you, you say the corporate version of what's happening. You say, we are so excited to start making original games. And maybe they were, but maybe they weren't. Maybe they were really pushed by Sony to be like, we think we want to see you make an original game. And they just try to go, that's the mandate. We're going to do it. And we're going to make it sound like we really like it. But it also could be that they wanted to stretch their legs and bit off more than they could chew.
I don't know, man. I think that's putting the blame at the wrong feet, because that was in their opening statement. And even like, I think they talked about it, or Shuhei talked about it. Like, they pitched that God of War game.
Yeah, and he said they pitched it because there was a motive. And look, your point stands, but for anybody who doesn't know what happened here, Shuhei's story, in case you haven't heard it, is that because Sony was doing the games as a service push, they essentially were greenlighting games that met that initiative way easier than they were greenlighting other games. And so to that end, even though that's what they chose to present, I understand that when you go, hey, studio, if you want work and you want us to greenlight a game, so we'll keep paying you, ideally, even if you didn't say it with words, you said it through your actions, hey, ideally, we're going to give you a much better one if you pitch us a games as a service, even though none of you have ever done that, right? And I think that's at least, I think there's a reasonable thing to go, there's mixed blame. I don't think Sony should have ever been like, we're going to more easily, I'm usually pretty artistic freedom. Sony doesn't touch or doesn't push their studios to do much, or they say they don't. But if there's ever a time for you to actually go, hey guys, I know that we're greenlighting games as a service games easier, but Naughty Dog, do not come to us with the games as a service. That doesn't make sense to who you are. It's a stupid choice. Hey, Bluepoint, don't come to us with a games as a service. That does not make sense for what you've been and who you are. Instead, consider options within the realm of what you're good at and come back to us. And that,
I guess I think that's the same. And I don't mean this in a rude way, but I think that's the same level of fantasy as me going, well, Herman Hulst just decided that, oh, well, we just want to let the studios do what they want to do. They said they wanted to do a game of their own, and they pitched this game, so we're going to let them do it. I feel like they're both in fantasy land, when the reality is probably, yes, it's true that Sony did this, and they still pitched it.
Yeah.
Right? Because we'd be having a different conversation if it came out like, hey, we pitched Legends of Dragoon Remake, and instead they said, how about you make God of War live service? Then we'd be having a different conversation. But I think in the same way that we have to say that like Media Molecule deserves the grave that they're digging, and Sony Bend probably also deserves the grave that they're digging, right? I think there's just as much potential that a lot of this is, Sony had this pitch, so they decided it was in their best interest to do this instead of putting their best foot forward and doing a remake, right? Who knows? I think there's a mixture of both, but I don't I think it's a crazy decision not to recognize that mistakes were made with Bluepoint and letting them survive to the next game. I think that that's the decision you have to make as a company and be like, yeah, we need to restructure. We have to shut somebody down. Yeah, Bluepoint's the farthest away and Bluepoint did this, but they were trying to do this. We've decided it wasn't up to snuff, so we're going to have them do this. Instead, and I think this is the bigger rub, right? Media Molecule is doing nothing. Nothing. They haven't been worth it. No, fuck that. They haven't been worth a damn since Little Big Planet 2.
Oh, I disagree. Tearaway is a great game, but after Tearaway, I think that you have a stronger argument.
Well, okay, but you as a first party publisher are not satisfied with Tearaway as the last game one of your tentpole studios did. One of your tentpole studios who created one of the mascots for one of your more successful eras in terms of the game side. That studio made a cute artsy game and a game engine that you can't export your games onto and wasn't on PC.
Yeah.
So I think when you're looking at this, like, I think that there is a ton of reason to shut down Bluepoint. Like, if you look at it in a spreadsheet wise, but if you look at it with your head, you give Bluepoint one more chance to make something else. And you say, focus on what you're good at. And then you shut down Media Molecule, because in what world is Media Molecule still around?
I agree with you. And I love Media Molecule, or I loved what they were, but I agree with you. But you know what we're going to do instead, guys? We're going to take a quick second here to wish up the remakes that we wish Bluepoint would have come out with. So Saul, what's a classic PlayStation, game of that you love? Bloodborne remake?
Yeah, instantly Bloodborne. Actually, you know what? Sony, it's not been 10 years yet. Where's Death Stranding remake at?
It's not too late.
It's not too late. Never too early, apparently.
No, it's not. I really do want to get a feel for, considering the amount of outcry there's been for Bloodborne Remastered or a Bloodborne remake, why do you really think it is that Sony has bothered not to do it, when originally my thought process, I think Saul would follow me here. Originally, I would have thought they wouldn't have done it because I would have thought that their excuse would have been, hey, Miyazaki and FromSoft weren't interested in remaking it and they didn't want anybody to touch it. Therefore, we left it be and we are just respecting the creator. But when you go to Demon Souls and remake it, either clearly the Miyazaki does not care and FromSoft is like, great, we can't do it, but we give you our blessing. So what's happening with Bloodborne? Why did Bloodborne not get that consideration?
It's their McRib.
You gotta wait to bring it back.
They are waiting until they are in dire trouble to be like, oh yeah, guys, Bloodborne.
To that end, Saul, do you think that the game's already being worked on consistently, but like slowly in the background, so that if they ever need it, they can just pull it out of their ass? Or do you think it'll be like when Square announced the Final Fantasy VII remake, even though they hadn't started making that motherfucker at all?
I think that they're gonna try something incredibly risky by the end of the PS5's lifespan. And I think that I don't know. It could be that they are going to announce that the PS6 is all digital, or the integration of AI or something into their consoles. Something they're going to announce, and they know it's going to have blowback, but they're going to be like, but Bloodborne Remaster is also coming, and everyone's going to forget about the blowback for everything.
People foaming at the mouth in the streets. Bloodborne.
Yeah,
I'm thinking about like AI Kratos as your PS. Boy, you must go outside. You've been online for 14 hours.
So
scan another Mountain Dew can to continue gaming.
You guys
you only need one more trophy in Bloodborne remake.
Do you guys know what is an oddly serendipitous thing to have happened, considering the timing of all this? Saul, this is your first time back on the podcast in years. And one of your last times on the podcast, there was a big thing about Chris being adamant and you guys betting that Bloodborne 2 was going to come out from Bluepoint.
Oh my God.
And guess what? Guess what is now impossible?
I think Chris better be a house.
Yeah, he did.
I still live in an apartment.
Hey, man, listen.
What a blessing.
Bluepoint is... Bluepoint is not officially closed, and we can talk about this on your next appearance on the show.
Okay, episode 800.
Yeah, you're right. This was
Episode
leaked
800.
once they are initially. Yeah, but how crazy is it that Chris? I remember thinking
That is
I've thought about
wild-
this bet for years. I think about it once every couple months because I think it's such an insane bet. And also, I want to throw this out there. So Saul, God bless him, Saul. I really appreciated it, and it also cracked me up that Saul sat here at this table at game night one night a couple years back, and he said, "I bet y'all I bet y'all $500 or whatever the hell it was, $100, whatever it was." But you're like, "I bet this amount of money that by this date that we're gonna have these cards banned in Yu-Gi-Oh!" And I told Saul, I was like, Saul, you always do these bets where you're not having anybody bet something against you. You bet something, and that's it. You just go, I bet you this amount of money. Against what? There's no stakes. It's just, if I'm wrong, nothing happens. And if you're wrong, you owe us. Saul paid us all.
I think it was $500.
Saul paid every single, and I'm pretty sure it was $500. It's funny that I can't even remember it at this point, but Saul paid every single one of us. And I told him, I said, Saul, you do not have to. But he was like, I said it, so I'm going to do it. Which Saul, I respect the shit out of. Good on you.
One day I'll be homeless and I'll need $500, and I know where
I
I'm
respect
going.
That's right.
shit
You
out
come
of that
holler at your
because
boy.
I'm telling you, I've never had an intention of ponying up on that bet.
No, I know.
That's what I was about to say. Is the funny part of this is I remember when that happened, Saul, and you paid the $500. I said, I swear to God, what does that mean for Saul if Bloodborne 2 gets announced from Bluepoint? Is he going to be like, Chris?
I guess you're moving to Texas because I got something.
But so I think about that all the time. And now I live in this world where every time I think about it, I was like, Chris sure is lucky that technically speaking, just because they haven't announced it, he's not wrong. You can absolutely be wrong now. There is, as long as Bluepoint, as long as Jason Schreier is not pulling one over, and this is like a really early April Fool's, then I think that we have to say Bluepoint 2 developed Bloodborne. Bluepoint developed Bloodborne 2 cannot happen. So therefore, Saul, you have now won this bet. Congratulations! I'm so proud.
Let me
of
ask you a question. Now, what if the remains of Bluepoint create a spiritual successor studio called Azul Point?
I like Point Blue. That's funny.
Point Blue is all right. It sounds like a place in the ocean.
It does. It also sounds like a shark movie.
It does sound like a shark movie.
It's a late 90s. It's a late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah.
Holy shit. But yeah, so you're saying what if they come together and then Sony commissions them to make a new Bloodborne?
Yep, exactly.
I think the technicality is still there. I mean, it's not technically unless we do live in a crazy
Sony
game.
Sells
time.
them back the rights to the name.
I was about to tell you. So, do you remember how Xbox shut down GameWorks?
Tango.
And after months of them being shut down, they suddenly get announced as being bought and resurrected. So, Saul, I guess technically speaking, we do live in a world where there is still the chance that somehow, some way, Bluepoint buy themselves back or a new person buys them under the Bluepoint name. And in the future, Sony still works with them to make Bloodborne.
The funniest thing that could happen would be Katakawa buying Bluepoint to remake Bloodborne because FromSoft can't do it.
There's what book series is that I'm reading where they have something about a character. What is it? And like them dying is like supposed to end a contract, but they end up coming back to life, and therefore the contract. What?
The contract is considered valid.
Something like that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's how Jon Snow gets out of the.
Oh, I guess you're right. Yeah.
You're like,
that's what I'm thinking of.
I paid my due, baby.
That's fucking crazy.
It sounds like what you're paying.
What's funny is if Bluepoint ever comes back at all, Chris is right. He's like, we're back on the menu, baby. It's not a no. It's not a yes,
those keys,
but it's not
bro.
a no.
I'm gonna need those keys.
I love that this happens the week that we plan for Saul to come back, though. I mean, I don't love that it happened because rip Bluepoint. I guess companies, this is why you never sell to big companies because they don't give a shit. They just don't. That's what it comes down to is that you guys would have been fine if your fate was in your own hand because you could have found anybody else to do the work. Sony decides you're not worth it. Goodbye. Fuck you. We're gonna continue to employ Haven for some reason. You know, it's funny. As I'm going to go as far as to say I'm going to blame this on Concord. If Sony didn't waste,
I thought you were going to say I'm going to blame this on Chris.
No, I'm going to blame this on Concord. If Sony didn't buy a fucking studio and spend hundreds of millions of dollars making a game that abjectly fucking failed, maybe they could let Bluepoint slide for a little longer, but they didn't. So now they got to go, guys. We got to cut our losses. Fuck you, Concord. Man. Fuck you.
For such a good game, too. It's crazy. That's the biggest sin of Concord is people remember it as the worst game of all time. I'm like, it's not that bad.
I like how you went from it's a good game to it's not that bad. There's a pretty big quality bar between those two.
I don't know, man. I'm okay with some slop sometimes, so it was all right for me.
All right, boys, we're gonna move in. The last thing we'll have is we got a question, or rather, yeah, it's a question from one of our newer patrons, RMG0731. He said, "Did Xbox leadership resign knowing if they didn't, Saul would drop all the dirt on them on this podcast?" Saul, is there any dirt you would like to drop?
I was really trying to think about something at Epstein and 3 Ring of Death,
bro.
And ain't nothing coming.
If it turns out, because they're still going through all the Epstein file shit, if it turns out
that Phil Spencer,
if Phil Spencer's on the Epstein files, how fucking crazy is that going to be?
You heard it here, here first, folks. That's what it is.
What a world!
It's not what it is.
What a world we live in. But you know what? We actually do have some pretty fun questions that I thought were interesting. So I think that we have a good answer to this one. We'll go and get this out of the way as we're still kind of from soft adjacent. Josh Ayers, who I know you remember, Saul.
Of course, says, our Australian boy.
Yeah, still a patron, still a homie. He says, since Saul is a big fan from FromSoft, how does he enjoy their releases since leaving the podcast?
Oh, man. I love them both. Technically, Elden Ring was out right before I left the podcast, I think. But Elden Ring is my favorite FromSoft game that is not Bloodborne by a large margin. Like, it's just so good. And Night Rain is incredible. I really did not anticipate somehow playing 300 hours of that game, and I did, and I'm not really upset about it. Got to like depth 4 or 5 actually, which is like the last depth in the hard mode of the game. That's been fun. I did all that solo. If anybody ever wants to play Night Rain, I'm pretty sure that game is crossplay. I might be wrong on like friend play crossplay, but I'm down to, if anybody wants to tag me on Discord, I'll do that. But I love them. They're great.
Yeah. Saul's playing Night Rain almost every time I ask what he's got going on or what he's doing, or if I look over and he's playing a Steam Deck. He's got Elden Ring or Night Rain, one of the two, just kind of going on. So good on you.
I recently restarted a playthrough in Elden Ring, so you're going to see probably more of that soon.
What build you going for this time?
The Great Stars. It's like a bleed hammer. That's really cool.
Let me ask you this, Saul. Part of my goals this year, since I'm not focusing on the trophy competition at all, is to finally give Elden Ring another try. Because, I played about 7-8 hours of it and kind of bounced out. Just wasn't feeling it.
Incredible.
If I'm going back in, what do you feel like? You know me, you know my gaming sensitivities. What do you feel like would be an ideal build for me to maybe see the best version of the game, in your opinion?
Lion Claw Greatsword build. Or, which is... Lion Claw is a moveset you put on your weapon, right? And so Greatsword is literally like Guts' from Berserk, his Greatsword.
Is Lion Claw like the Ash of War? Isn't that what that is?
Yes.
How you add movesets? Yeah.
And so what that is a very powerful front flip down slam attack that almost always will break enemy posture and flatten them like a pancake every time.
So like
and you can
Hunter
stun
World
lock
shit.
them. Yes.
Hell yeah.
So that's crazy cool. But then there's also the Bloodhound Fang, which you can get both of these weapons and both of these Ash of Wars, which Bloodhound Fang comes on it. But you can get both these without even fighting a boss.
Interesting.
Yeah, like technically you have to fight. I can't think of his name. I'm pretty sure it's like a Scottish name.
Is it
but you
Moog?
have to. No,
Margot or whatever?
No.
Not
It's
Margot. What is it?
It's the Everjail, which are like these plates in the world, and you have to use an item to open them up. And there's a boss in there.
Yeah.
And you have to fight. I think it's Darwin or Daryl or something. He's the guy that has the book. I think it is Daryl. I'm pretty sure it is.
You slayed Daryl.
Well, you have to fight him, and then in the middle it says "Ride" with Norman Reedus.
Okay, it's Daryl.
It's like a fucked up version of Daryl.
I think it's Scottish, so that might be
Darul.
I just posted a screenshot of it in the general chat in the Triangle Squared thing because it's Darul. But you can use that. It's a big curved sword that you see him holding in that picture, and it's Ash of War does like this sweeping attack.
Oh, I saw you use this on the Steam Deck one time. Yeah.
And
it's like the curved scimitars, right?
Yes, it's a big one. It's so cool. But I would recommend either one of those weapons and those kind of builds, and you can use incantations to like buff them if you want, and like do like blood flame on it or something, and it causes fire damage plus bleed buildup even more so than what that one does. It's crazy good.
Nice. Okay, cool. Well, let's move on to the next question we got here. Another
Corey
one aimed specifically at you. Yeah. He's like, oh my God, Honeybeard. Which, to be fair, I'll throw that out there. I'm sure you saw them, but there was a number of people who decided to yell positive sentiment toward you.
I am greatly appreciative of all you guys who did that. Thank you all. I was shocked actually to see how many reactions that people were posting about me coming back and stuff. It's absolutely wild. So thank you all for that.
So with that in mind, long time friend of the show, sweet Gran Turismo Jones, sweet SGS Jones.
Oh my gosh, Ryan?
Whatever, yeah. What
Ryanthelos?
Ryanthelos, yeah. What the hell has Saul been up to? How many kids does he have? Is he rich yet? What's his latest gaming jam? I will let you attack those questions in any format you see fit.
Still married. Have no kids. Not really planning on that. So goal is a bit cheap so far. No comment on if I'm rich or not yet.
Oh,
I'll leave that to some mysterious.
Saul's making big money
theory.
moves just by saying that. You know what I mean?
That was the richest thing I've ever heard in my life.
And also, I think
y'all don't realize that Saul has. So you'll notice Saul's not on camera right here, right? It's because Saul has a completely iced out grill now because he's so rich, and
I
he
got face tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
He doesn't get good Wi-Fi on the island.
No. Hold on, I can't talk about islands.
Oh, you're right.
Not when the files.
Big St. James, wrong island.
But yeah, it's just, oh my gosh, the timing of you making the $500 bet thing, and then that is hilarious to me. That is some weird timing. But yeah, and then for gaming habits, I still pretty much play all the same games that I did back when I was on the podcast. I still
Dark Souls 3.
Yeah, I still play the Dark Souls games ad nauseum, Soulsborne games, constantly. I go through a competitive like shooter or multiplayer game once a year, depending on what it is. I still have a love for roguelikes and roguelites and Metroidvanias and Castlevanias and all those things that I have thousands of hours of stuff into that in Steam now. So unfortunately, you may see me on PlayStation and it say, hasn't been online in 4 years or 3 years or whatever it is, but I am very much alive, still playing video games.
So Saul, we have a great thing that kind of comes from that. We haven't talked about this yet, and I actually meant to ask you about it, but at the time I hadn't watched the State of Play, and we were trying to keep hush-hush on it. Did you see the Dead Cells developers making a new Castlevania?
It looks incredible.
It looks really fucking good. Yeah, it looks great.
As
soon as I saw it, it was after game night. I came home that night and watched it. So it was like 11:30 when that came up, and I was like, I'm not about to text Saul at 11:30. And I meant to tell you about it next game night, and I think I had to not be there for some reason, actually. So all that said, I was like, oh my God, Saul, we're going to lose our fucking mind over this. And yeah, it looks so good.
Dead Cells is probably in my top 3 favorite. I don't know if you consider that a Metroidvania. I consider it a Metroidvania because of the way progression overall works.
Chris and I were talking about that the other day.
Moment.
Yeah. I think what I said is I think it's It's a Metroidvania in moment-to-moment gameplay loop. It's not in an actual sense of progression, in my opinion. Like, it doesn't actually progress like one, but it feels so much like one when you're playing it moment to moment.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. I kind of said that backwards, but yeah, you pretty much nailed it a little bit better than I did.
Okay, another one to throw out there, because you weren't on the show whenever I think, Chris and I both at various times, we weren't playing it at the same time, but Chris and I both gushed over Lies of P, which really came out of nowhere to surprise me as an incredible Souls-like. I do remember that you were playing it, correct? Did you ever end up beating it?
Oh yeah, I beat it. I got the hidden ending and everything. The game's really good. I unfortunately, the game is really good. I do think though that, and I need to play the DLC because the DLC has come out since I last played it. I do not think that it has the same kind of replayability that any of the Souls games has, just because the builds are kind of straightforward and it doesn't allow for a lot of like customized. Well, no, that's actually incorrect. It actually allows you for a crazy amount of customization for what you can do. But I feel like they're not as optimized as they could be. So they feel, I don't like making a build that is unoptimized, knowing that I could do better. And
well, I'm
what's
interesting
intentionally
about that,
making
Saul?
the bad decision.
Yeah, but I think you'd agree with what I'm about to say, but maybe not. And you can expound on why if you don't. I think I agree with you in the sense of what I know you like about playing the Souls games a lot, but you've also played Bloodborne a lot, and Bloodborne has very limited builds, realistically speaking.
I actually think Bloodborne has at least 3 builds off the top of my head that I could go back to with Bloodborne and change it up enough between those 3 builds that I feel like it's fresh.
Okay.
I didn't feel that way in Lies of P. But I'm not sure if that's just because I was in the mindset to use, I don't even remember what the build I ended up going with, because the way that the builds work in that game, the handle was one and like the blade or something was the other, right?
Is the other,
or the handle was,
and then, it's like, I think it's 3 pieces actually. I think it's like the blade, the guard, or the counterweight, something like that, and then the handle, and the handle itself. And then you also have the which arm you choose to use. Kind of the Sekiro element.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, and I need to go back and play it. It is a game that I typically would like to play, like getting into Christmassy time, just because of the way it feels like a Christmas game to me for some reason.
Oh, that's interesting. Well, Saul, you've played quite a bit. I don't say all of them, but you've played quite a bit of the non-From Software Souls likes. Where do you think that Lies of P kind of falls for you in that hierarchy?
It's probably one of the best ones, actually.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's really good. Then again, we go through that thing where you and I both really liked Lords of the Fallen, and then there's people that
the
are
original
like,
Lords of the Fallen.
Yeah, the original Lords of the Fallen is fucking awesome. It's great.
Yeah, it is. It really is. It is a arcadey Souls-like, but it is really good.
Yeah, super fun. And then you got Chris over here playing the Surge.
Hey, man.
Oh, my God.
Surge
that game existed until you said that. I think the last time I thought about that game was like 3 years ago when we were talking about making me play the Surge 2.
Yeah.
Good game. I was thinking about the game Bound by Flame the other day.
Dude,
wow, that's
that?
Crazy coincidence you said that.
We were talking about that at game night last night.
Really? No shit.
Yeah. We were talking about, actually, ironically, Saul was talking about, he saw a game that was recently revealed, and he said that it looked an awful lot like OG Lords of the Fallen. And then Seth, his brother, was like, "Oh, are you talking about Bound by Flame?" And because he didn't hear the part that it was a recently announced game, and I was like, "Oh, I guess I could see, but Bound by Flame is fucking hard." Going back to those,
you're talking about Crimson Moon, right?
Well, no.
When Crimson Moon was announced, I said it as a joke, but I was like, "This looks like Bound by Flame."
Crimson Moon's that one that was from Probably Monsters, right?
Yeah.
This all came up because we were talking about Crimson Desert. I feel like we're playing like 7 degrees of something here. Like we're trying to, is this like 7 degrees of From Software? We're trying to find all the ways that you can work your way in. But regardless, I'd be curious, Saul, if you ever even found out what game it was that you were trying to get at. But we were talking about Bound by Flame because that's a Spiders game prior to Greedfall and even prior to what's that other, the Technomancer and the Mars X-Files and all those games. That game's cool. It's got a good like concept, and it's not a bad game. It's just fucking hard. It's one of the most difficult games I've ever played, and I didn't get very far in it because of it, but I always wanted to. Weird how that stuff works. All right. Let's see. We got some more involved questions that I want to round the show out on that are not so specifically aimed at Saul that we can all kind of chime in on. And the first one is a fun one. It comes from one of our newer patrons, the Boorish Boar. So first of all, thank you for being a patron. He says, what is a highly acclaimed game that you recognize is great but will never play, and why? He says, I love the first 2 Grand Theft Auto games when I played them on PC in junior high, and love Grand Theft Auto 3 in high school. But as an adult, I don't really want to play a game populated by parodies of the scumbags I've met in real life. Never played GTA 5, even though it looks great, and will probably pass on GTA 6. So, Chris, you have consistently been a man who says that highly acclaimed games suck and then come back and eventually go, actually, I played it finally. It's pretty good. But do you feel like there's a game that has managed to maintain this status for you?
I don't want to say my answer.
Oh my God. Now I got to know, because you seem like you're coy about it, which makes me think you're going to say some insane shit. But it's okay, because I'll say some insane shit in a minute, so it's okay.
I don't think anyone is going to be surprised by my answer. I just don't want to say it, because my answer's Horizon Forbidden West.
Man.
This is going to sound bad. I don't think that that's even... Oh, this sounds really bad. I don't think that that's the acclaimed game to the level that a Grand Theft Auto is.
I would fucking hope not. That would be an insult to Grand Theft Auto 3.
And I like Forbidden West, but that is I don't think that... I would be really surprised if someone held Forbidden West in the same breath of like The Witcher or Skyrim or Grand Theft Auto 5 or Red Dead 2. Like, maybe they do, and you're not wrong to think that. I mean, you do you. I hold the Order in much higher of a position than it probably realistically deserves from a lot of people. So I'm not hating. I just would be surprised if that was a commonly held opinion. Let me say that.
You know what? My actually, I have another answer. Maybe it's closer. I don't know that. I've dabbled, so I don't know that it counts, but I'll never play another one. And it's any Monster Hunter game.
Yeah.
Oh man, I love Monster Hunter games. I need Rise to be better.
Oh, you mean the new one?
Is it Worlds? I think
It's
Worlds
not
is
Wilds.
Wilds. I love Rise and World. I don't know why I said that. Rise and World are games I've probably spent thousands.
Rise ripped and World ripped. Yeah, really good games.
Yeah, it was just not a game I could find the fun in. I didn't find fun.
Interesting.
The most fun I had was making my characters and the creative characters. So
interesting. Okay, Saul, we're gonna move over to you, man. What's a critically acclaimed or just a highly regarded game that you just don't think you'll ever play, and why?
That's a good That's a good question. I'm trying to think of. I don't know if I have a good answer for that.
I think, interestingly enough, Saul, you do a really good job of actually touching on most of the critically acclaimed games, much more than even I do. I mean, really.
Yeah, like, I don't know if I've ever looked at a game or a series and be like, I'm not going to play that, but I recognize the quality.
Well, I mean, to be fair, you don't have to recognize the quality. Your reason can be that even though it's critically acclaimed, you just like, the game looks like it sucks. I don't know what game could be that critically acclaimed or highly regarded.
I got another
and
answer.
Suck.
I don't know if critically acclaimed. Ain't no fucking Wham touching a Roblox game.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Roblox?
Ever.
That feels like a cheat code, but fair enough.
There ain't no way.
You say that, and I think I would have said that, but then when my daughter asked me to play with her and then downloaded it on my phone for me and made an account for me, I got on and I've played like 35 minutes of Roblox. I think the game we were playing was like Dress to Impress, where you had to like dress your person up and then walk down a runway and hit buttons for poses. And she had a fucking blast playing with me, and I don't regret it at all.
I would never, by my own choosing, play a Roblox game. I think, the daughter, that's a cheat code.
That's true.
My car was on fire, but I had said no to water. Like, I understand. You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft.
Oh,
that's a good one.
Now, you're throwing at the big guns, which is interesting. I don't like World of Warcraft. I technically have played it, and I played it enough to know that I don't like it, but I will never play it again. I know that with absolute certainty. I also know with absolute certainty that I will never play Final Fantasy 14 online again. I don't like
That
95% of MMOs. It's just
heresy.
And what's worse is I want to know the story, but I do not want to suffer through the game to get to that story. I've really debated just watching all the story shit on YouTube because I don't like MMO gameplay, and I don't like most MMO mission structures because they're bad and they don't make sense.
You can become a fisherwoman. I was a large rabbit lady who fished. That was my job.
I'm so proud of you, but that was
I probably hit on Chris at some point.
Hell yeah, you did. I was hot as fuck.
All right. So let's see.
By the way, Chris was entirely right, by the way. It's Crimson Moon. I just posted some screenshots. In Discord. Like, literally, go look at those screenshots and tell me those games don't look similar.
I am not crazy. They looked the same. I was like, this is that?
Oh, yeah. I actually saw now that you say that. And, and now that you mention it anyway, I actually thought the armor looked a lot like Harkin, but that was the only thing that immediately stood out to me. That's how you like the game is whenever it's a game that most people seemingly just didn't care about. And here I am 12 years later, and I remember the motherfucking character's first name.
Yeah.
Harkin.
So
I remember how
we
it's
are.
Spelled weird.
It is spelled weird.
Isn't it spelled like Hawken?
I think so, yeah. Or it has a Y in it.
K-I-N
or something, right? No, there's really a Y in there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's odd, but I remember his name's Harkin, and I actually remember a lot about that game.
I need to replay the.
I might try it.
The second one, or not? Well, hold on.
The whatever you want to call it, the remake. It's not even. I think it's kind of like God of War. I don't think it's a remake. I think it's just literally, hey, we didn't want to pay for another new IP name, so it's just the same game, new year. It's just Lords of the Fallen 2023.
Gotcha.
I hate that trend, by the way. I'm so fucking tired of them naming a game the same thing as an existing game and not changing any goddamn thing. I hate it. I'm fucking sick of it. I should not have to say God of War and then specify 2018. That is so fucking stupid.
To be fair, though, they could have done something worse than that.
And what is that?
They could have done God of W4R.
I fucking love it.
Could you imagine if that was the title?
Look, and I get why they didn't want to call it God of War 4 because it doesn't invite people to want to come into it if they've never I don't want to play 1, 2, and 3 to figure out what's going on. But just call it something. Call it God of War. You keep doing it with the other games like Ghost of Sparta and Change of Olympus. Just fucking name it something. Odin's Nutsack. You know what I mean? Do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. Do something.
God of War aggro boring.
But yeah, I think that was a crazy choice. And then what's worse is with the next one, you just call it God of War Ragnarok. You don't give it a number. Do that the first time, you motherfuckers. Uncharted 1 is called Uncharted Drake's Fortune.
Subtitles are way cooler than numbers. Like, let's just be real.
They are, but at the same time, I'm glad that numbers exist for consoles because if every PlayStation system had a sub-name don't worry, I like the name Vita. It rolls off the tongue well. But I'm going to be real. It should have just been called a fucking PSP2 and we should have got on with our lives. I don't want the next PlayStation to be called the PlayStation Orbis. No.
Yeah.
Just call it the fucking PS6 and move on.
PS5 Orbis, I'd be like, it's kind of sick.
See, I'll give you... Best of both worlds is the Uncharted one where you call it Uncharted Drake's Fortune, but then you call it Uncharted 2.
2 Drake's Fortune, yeah.
Yeah, and you give it another sub name. What is it? Uncharted 2. What is it? It's not Thief's End. That's Uncharted 4. No, it's Uncharted 4. Why can I not actually think of what it is?
Honor Among Thieves?
Yes. Honor Among Thieves. Thank you. Drake's Deception.
There's no way I just got that right.
You just fucking got it right. I'm so proud of you.
What's 3?
Drake's Deception.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I did not know that, even though that's the only one I've actually played a lot of.
And then
hold on, I lied. I beat the first game.
Yeah.
Wait, no, hold on. Dang, I beat all of those games.
I thought you did whenever the remaster hit PS4, right?
Yeah.
Real gamer hours. You can play it on PC now, too. Go do it again.
I actually saw played Uncharted 3 on the PS3.
It came with my PS3 that I got.
It did, yeah.
I didn't beat Uncharted 3 for the first time until a year ago, a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bought all the games, though. So, I mean, 2's better.
So, Saul, I may have just missed it. Did you land on a game?
World of Warcraft.
World of Warcraft, that's right. That is correct.
Cheat answer, but I've never played. I played that game technically once.
There you go. There's another one.
So look, there was a real time, or if you would have asked me this, like maybe even a year ago, I think my answer would have been Grand Theft Auto 5. And it's a cheat answer. It's so easy, but I really just don't have the interest to play it, or I didn't. But this year, I'm really trying hard to see if I want to play Grand Theft Auto 6, which I think the answer is no. And I have so little excitement for that game that, and sensibly, because I don't care about the franchise anymore. But I think the only way I can really get a good feel as to whether I care about playing Grand Theft Auto 6 is to finally play Grand Theft Auto 5 and see if I like it. But even then,
because you'll have it for free. There's no reason not to play 6.
I have 5 for free and I've never played it, Chris.
Oh man, that's crazy.
That's the world we live in. And Saul has played Grand Theft Auto 5 because Saul was doing the fucking servers where you could pretend to like you role played your characters out
on PC. That was great fun. Yeah. RP.
That's actually probably the closest 5, I would like to wanting to play it.
The GTA 5 might be my favorite game of that generation, or one of the top 3 at least. And I am not excited for GTA 6 at all.
Oh, see, now I want to know why. What's going on with GTA 6?
I just don't know. I just don't know.
You see it and you're like, man,
I ain't feeling it. Yeah, I'm sure that there will be a trailer or there will be a time where I'll see gameplay and I'm like, okay, now I'm a little pumped. But from what I've seen, it seems like it's too far off for me to care yet. It's not out. It's not. The oven ain't preheated yet.
To be fair, if you believe them, it's pretty fucking close.
I know.
But I've believed them before and they moved it.
Yeah, it's funny because that's
like preheating the oven for a pizza that's coming in, and then you're like, hey, the oven's ready, and you said the pizza would be here, and it's like, actually, bro, I'm gonna need like an hour and a half more. I'm not quite there with it.
You know what's funny? My brother took 2 weeks vacation for May.
That poor bastard.
Yeah, I'm like, I was waiting until I knew.
Where I was going with that, though, is that this year I am trying to really confront how I feel about Rockstar Games. And part of the reason that this is a little softened for me is because I also didn't like Red Dead 2 until I was able to put the entire game in first person and everything changed. So since Grand Theft Auto 5... Yeah, I didn't think you had. And since Grand Theft Auto 5 has the first person, I want to go and play it in that capacity because I'm assuming Grand Theft Auto 6, much like Red Dead 2, will have a first person mode day one. And what I liked about it, this is where we get into the mixture of things. What I liked about it in Red Dead 2 is that Red Dead 2 focused so much more on simulation that it felt like playing an immersive sim. I don't think that Grand Theft Auto 5 is going to feel that way. And I don't think Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to feel that way either. Though maybe they will have it to where like your character's nutsack shrivels up whenever it gets cold outside. There's no horses in this game for you to ride. There may be a horse, but you know what I'm saying.
It's in Florida.
It's in Florida. Maybe like
shrinking over there.
Will it be like the gators, balls will shrink?
The gators balls. It'll be real poop physics.
So to move that over to a different answer, and I've had to kind of been thinking on this because there's a lot of big games that have various reasons as to why you might or might not. And I think there's answers that are weird because like I think the way I take the question is that you're not going to play it at all. Like you're not even going to boot it up. Because there's things I could say like I've tried playing Borderlands 2 so many times that I can't ever get there. I keep thinking like surely I like the Borderlands ones. I get there. No, every time I play it, I fucking fall off. I get so bored from it. And I think prior to my want for Elden Ring, I still don't have a strong desire to play Elden Ring. Unfortunately, just being what it is. But is it weird to say that maybe, just maybe, a reasonable answer is Starfield? But I don't know if I'd say Starfield's highly acclaimed, but it did well. But I don't know if I'm going to play Starfield. Like
I played Starfield for a little bit.
Even though it's coming to PS5, they've announced that, and I can play it. Part of me wants to say I'm going to play it, but dude, I don't give a shit.
Is that game not on PS5?
No, there's apparently it's going to be announced this year, but no, it did not launch on that.
Wow.
I don't think you should say Starfield because I think because I will buy it. So I think once you have access, you'll definitely at least launch it.
All right. Well, then let me move over to let's see. What's another big Fortnite? I am one of the only people I know who has never played Fortnite. And every time that I say that, people are like, what? You play games and you've never played Fortnite? I don't care at all about Fortnite. zero, absolute zero.
See, I've always found it fascinating with you, and this is why it's just in general. There are people like this where like I don't know how you, out of curiosity, wouldn't try Fortnite. I'm not saying you don't have to like it, but like, you seem. I don't know if this is. I'm not trying to be a dick, but like you seem like a curious person, and especially in the gaming sphere. That I'm shocked you wouldn't even see what it is. Like it's the same thing with GTA. Like GTA is such a big game that I'm shocked that it's even in your head that you wouldn't try it. I'm not saying you'd have to buy it,
game, though. You know, I think that's the difference.
But it's
for that series.
Yeah, sure. But I think it's such like a tentpole thing that I'm surprised that you don't have that. Like professional curiosity sounds like a weird way to say it. I don't know. I don't.
Well, you were still surprised that I just had zero interest in checking out The Last of Us.
Yeah, I still think that's crazy that
the show
didn't do that
specifically. Yeah, I just don't give a shit. I have zero to this day. I have zero interest in watching that.
But that one was more of a like that's a TV show. The only reason I was surprised because it was just fucking easy content. But like you are in you are like in gaming, right? Like that's your thing. So I'm surprised that like the biggest game of all time is about to come out and you're like, yeah. I don't understand how you're not even like.
Also, I have a technicality on Fortnite. Because you're talking about how have I not played Fortnite either, right? Like out of just curiosity. The irony is that technically that might fall into the I've played it. I played Fortnite before it was a battle royale and it was a survival game, and I played it with my buddy Jonathan, and I did not think it was very good.
It was not.
I did not.
I remember
he bought that game for $40, and it was fine. It's not great. It wasn't bad. And then they turned that into one of I don't even know. Saul, do you remember that? Jonathan was hyping that game up. And he bought it, and I played a little bit with him, and I was like,
I kind of do actually. Now I think about it.
And then I remember that game like went silent because nobody gave a shit about it. And then like 9 months later, because of PUBG, they were like, Fortnite free to play because PUBG costs money, and then bam. So technically I've played Fortnite, but I've not played what people mean when they say, have you played Fortnite?
I'm just fascinated by it because it's like one of the differences between me and you, right? Or like, I wasn't interested in Concord, but I had to know about Concord. You know,
man. I think I only have, and I think Saul's kind of picked up on this to a degree as well, right? And I'm not saying that you don't have this, but I think I just have maybe a stronger sense of this. And I think Saul may even have a stronger sense of this than I do, which is I only have so much time.
Yeah.
And even though I am a curious person, the other thing is I'm a curious person even outside of gaming. Like I'm curious about how to do. I was curious about juggling, and so I learned how to juggle because I thought this is an interesting, weird skill. I wonder if I could do it. But that's what I kind of mean is I have interest in like what does it take to remodel a bathroom, and then I started out of I was having this conversation earlier actually with a friend. I'm not really a car guy necessarily, but I like cars, but I don't really love the idea of working on them, but I don't love the idea of paying someone else to work on them. So as often as I can, I will work on them on myself. And eventually I end up kind of getting into the work because I'm like, it is interesting to learn how to do this shit. And I remodeled my front bathroom because I couldn't afford to have someone else do it. And then partway through, I'm like, plumbing is kind of interesting and not as hard as you think it is. And I have that feeling. But my curiosity extends into so many areas, but I only have so much time to give certain curiosities. And so I've seen enough of certain games to know what they look like and how they function to go, even if it's just be a curiosity to play it, there's not a strong enough interest, so I have to pass on and move on and do the next best thing. It's part of why I've not bothered to get a Steam Deck, even though I think Saul may remember this. There was a point in time where I was buying like all sorts of phones, even though I had a phone, just because I was like, it's interesting to see what you can get for $100. Like, what's Android doing at the $100 price point? And that was curious, and I liked it. But I eventually had to be like, I only have so much time and so much money. Why am I spending $100 on an admittedly really, for $100, a great phone? But I'm not going to use it, so this is stupid and a waste of my time and money. And I just kind of had to let that one go.
Yeah, I guess like, sure. I'm not talking about like you don't have time for like Lakia aged in blood, you know.
Oh, and ironically, I'm going to play that fucking game.
My point is like we're not talking about like I'm not saying like oh you didn't make time for fucking Little Goody 2 Witch or whatever is in the PlayStation right now, you know.
Yes.
Again, the biggest game of all time, which I don't know. It doesn't matter to me. I don't give a shit how you spend your time or money. I'm not clock watching you or whatever they call it, but it's just interesting to me that you you're not even like curious enough to spend a day or like even like a day with Grand Theft Auto or an hour with Fortnite, you know, which is funny because you've done it with other things where like I told you to this day I didn't expect you to play Arc Raiders and we played like 100 hours together. So like,
yeah, but I saw Arc Raiders. I was like, I have a small interest in that. I don't know for sure if I like it, but it looks interesting.
Yeah, that's just a game. To me, I would have been like, just skip that one. But I think at this point, I probably would have been saying the same thing. Like, you're not even going to fucking try it. Like, crazy.
What is wrong with you? But yeah, I mean, I get that. That comes from here. All right. We have one final question. We're going to wrap this up. Saul, thanks so much for being here, man. It's been a blast having you back on. I'm sure everybody's loved hearing from you. You ready to get into the shit?
For having me. Let's find out.
Well, yeah, let's find out. Saul, I don't think you were here for what became the big silent protagonist debate. I'm pretty sure that happened either while you were out with your health issues or after.
I refuse to take part of this. I have heard about it enough to not care.
But now we get into a different question. So Jehudi MD, longtime listener, longtime patron, he says, with your recent discussion about High Guard and talk about Arc Raiders, what is your go-to game? What is your go-to game that other games get compared to? And he has first-person shooter, third-person shooter, action, and rogue. He said the interpretation for each, I'll leave to you individually. A game that lets you shoot while in first-person mode is an FPS. However, you may have your own interpretation, so feel free to choose a game that fits it. And I think that what came from this is like, Chris and I recently had a big argument, and I almost brought it up last night at game night, Saul, is this idea when we were watching the stuff for Crimson Desert, right? We were talking about what is an RPG. And I think both you and I, whenever I made the little sting at Seth about how is he going to shit on this for being an action game like he did Avowed. But I think you and I are both a lot more charitable with what we consider to be an RPG, right?
Yeah, I don't know if we are more charitable or if we're just correct.
Well, that's true too, but that always comes into the thing. But point being is, Chris and I recently had an argument about what is an RPG, and he had a strong feeling that he didn't feel like Expedition 33 was an RPG. And of course, in my opinion, I don't know what the hell else you would categorize Expedition 33 as, realistically speaking. Definitely, when there's so much of the genre out there that people have long held to be this, that play exactly like that game does. And so I think what leads here is this idea of like, how messy do you think the definitions for all of these can get? So let's start with, first and foremost, Saul, I'm going to start with you. What is your go-to game that other games get compared to specifically for the first-person shooter genre?
I do need to clarify. What does it mean that other games get compared to? Are we saying that it's best in class and other games try to live up to it? Like, what is compared to what?
It's a really good question. So within the context of the question, like Jehudi says here, it says, with your recent discussion about High Guard and the talk about Arc Raiders, I think part of what he's getting at here is that when we were talking about Arc Raiders, part of that was in relation to Marathon and what it means to be an extraction shooter and whether or not Arc Raiders is an extraction shooter or if it's an extraction shooter and Marathon intends to be a more true extraction shooter. Therefore, it deserves that kind of hit. And then I think High Guard kind of existed in this realm too, where we were talking about what exactly kind of game is it, because it kind of falls into a couple of different genres by way of what it tried to do. I'm assuming you remember High Guard, right? So I don't think you played it, but I think you remember the show.
I did not. Yeah.
So I think the idea is, what's a game that you say is an FPS and you compare games to it, or it gets compared to it and you kind of view it that way. And I think what he's kind of getting at here is, are we going to have strong disagreements about what qualifies for what genres? So a first-person shooter for you can mean a lot of things, right? I think there's an argument to be made that, I guess as an example, right? I think you can argue that someone could look and say 2017 Prey is a first-person shooter. And then someone else would go, no, 2017 Prey is an immersive sim.
Yeah. I think...
So, Chris, do we need to scooch over to you for a second? Because you look like you're losing your shit over here.
You said Prey is a first-person shooter, and I got kind of mad.
And see, that's exactly why I brought it up. Because, hey, Chris, what perspective is Prey 2017?
It's in first person.
Do you have a gun? Can you shoot it?
Sure.
Sounds to me like you just described a first-person shooter.
I don't think it's a first-person shooter. I think it's a first-person game that you can shoot in, and that's I understand because I heard the words that came out of my mouth. But I'm telling you, so like my answer is Doom 2016.
Okay, so what's your go-to first-person shooter, Saul? Destiny? Is Destiny a first-person shooter?
I would say Halo.
I actually was going to say Halo initially because that used to be your go-to.
Yeah, Destiny is probably a really good successor to that. But yeah, Halo is probably the initial like one that pops in the head.
Okay. For me, my go-to FPS... no.
You're about to say Oblivion.
Oh my God.
I shoot spells.
That's high guard.
Like if you try and tell
There's
me
a
that
bow and
Fallout
arrow,
3
my
is an
guy.
FPS,
I shoot
I'm
the arrows.
driving to Texas right now.
Well, Fallout 3 is a first-person and third-person RPG, or third-person shooter RPG. First-person shooter, third-person shooter RPG.
Oh my God! No.
Now let me throw it out there. It's a bad one. It is the worst element of that entire game. Shooting is the worst aspect of Fallout 3 and New Vegas. But
that's the problem. This is the same fucking thing with Claire Obscure. See, God damn it! Oh my God! Would you put Fallout 3? I'm going to shoot myself. Would you put Fallout 3 in the same category? We're not on third-person shooters yet. So would you put Fallout 3 in the same category as Doom 2016?
That's an interesting question, legitimately. This gets complicated because I think you're going to think I'm like taking the piss, but it's complicated because yes and no. I do think that you can look at it and
narrow the question down then.
Yeah, go ahead.
If someone came to you and said, I'm looking for a first-person shooter, would your answer be Fallout 3?
No.
Okay, that's why.
Because Fallout, again, I do think it technically is a first-person shooter, but I think if you're looking at what the game excels to be at and what people usually look for in that particular genre, I think it does the worst job that it can particularly do in that genre. And I think that if you're it spends so much more time worrying about its role playing and its character building and world building in a way that typically a first person shooter does not do.
I think what we've been quibbling about this whole time is the fact that almost no game is in a single genre
anymore. I agree with that.
Like you can't, like we've lost that. We're like, Doom 2016 is an FPS, but like it also has platforming. But I would slap you if you recommended me Doom 2016 as a platform. And I think that's the same thing that I was trying to say about Claire versus Kingdom Come.
See, I don't think that I can't agree with that position there. I get where you're going with it, and I'm not saying that you're wrong so much as I just can't agree with that. I think that depends a lot on what you think you mean by role-playing. And I think the problem with that is role-playing is such a broad thing. We had this conversation yesterday, and in a room full of 6 people, whenever I said something about RPG, I didn't even bring up your opinion on it yet. Everybody said, well, I mean, in any game, you're playing the role of the character you're going through. I'm like, yeah, you can get really in the weeds and say that literally every game is an RPG, unless it's one of those
everything is
games
an RPG.
where it's like a god simulator game where the game is aware of you as a human individual, and so you're just doing, you're technically playing yourself. But yeah, so to that end, yeah, you can get in the sticks. But even with what people typically use as RPG, I think you're in this camp of I don't think that very many people are going to look and say Final Fantasy X is not an RPG, and Expedition 33 and Final Fantasy X basically share so much DNA that there's no reason to even worry about separating them in a genre format. So to that end, to answer the question, for first-person shooter for me, it's Killzone 2.
All right, what's the next category?
Next category, this one's going to get interesting too. Third-person shooter. Saul, you got a third-person shooter that you look at and go, hell yeah, this is my bread and butter.
My brain. If I'm going off of pure instinct, what is the very first game that pops into my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
It went to Gears of War, but I don't know.
Interesting.
I had a lot of things pop up at once, but that was the one that was the loudest.
Okay. Chris, what's your feeling on this one?
Since nothing matters, I'm going with Dark Souls.
Yeah,
so
boner of that game.
So
Is it not a
dramatic.
third-person shooter?
Sure.
I'm joking. I'm just being
Now
nasty.
I'm curious to see what you're going to say about my answer, Chris.
Uh-huh.
The Last of Us Part 2.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. I think The Last of Us Part 2 has the best third-person shooting in any game I've played.
I think,
it's so
jokes
fucking good.
aside, I would probably agree with you.
Yeah. And what's more funny is that, to your point of what you said earlier, if someone said, hey, I want a really good third-person shooter, would I direct them to The Last of Us Part 2? I think I would, but with a lot of caveats. I'd be like,
No.
Hey, play this, but also be aware, first and foremost, it's like 40 hours, and that's a little bit of a stretch, but it's really long, and it's got a lot of story-heavy shit. So figure that out, but the rest of it's, yeah.
Dude, the second time I played it for Platinum, when I skipped all the cutscenes, one of the greatest gameplay experiences I've ever had.
So freaking good. It's incredible. Yeah, it's interesting, Saul. For a long time, I think because of when, kind of we grew up our teenage years, I think that I used to always kind of default to Uncharted, because I actually do think Uncharted has, definitely with 2 and onward, I think it has really good third-person shooting. Though Siphon Filter does too. Point being, my brain was always Gears. And Chris, to your point of what you were saying about games and what people expect, I think if you look at what a lot of people think of, like, I think there's a fair argument to say that a lot of people would be like, well, when I say first-person shooter, I mean like Call of Duty. And I think to that end, Call of Duty is the first-person shooters, what I think Gears is the third-person shooters. Short, sweet, there is a story, but they're meant to be moment-to-moment, quick gameplay, but the primary way that you're doing it is through a third-person camera instead of a first-person. In that sense, it's almost like the games are the same. It's just they present themselves through a different camera angle, and that's really the big difference.
My first answer to the last one would have been Call of Duty, I think, and then I rethought it. I think if I was going to give a real answer to this, I'm trying to like expand my view on this stuff, I guess, because like my head went to Gears, but honestly, I think my answer for like my personal like top of the charts third person shooter is Hitman 3, or more accurately, Hitman World of Assassination.
See, I would agree with you, but that feels out of line of what I would expect given your arguments against other genres.
I don't think it's a third-person shooter, but clearly I've lost the argument, and I don't necessarily not buy what you're saying. So if I'm going to expand out my definitions a little bit, I'm going to tell you that my answer to the first question is Fallout 3, and my answer to this one is Hitman World of Assassination. Because if you're just looking at the base gameplay mechanics, to me, Fallout 3 would be the best one, and Hitman 3 is my favorite third-person shooter.
Look at you beautiful bastard. All right, now we move into a genre that I think is a lot harder to define, because a game can be first-person in action, third-person in action. It could be third-person isometric. Like, you can move the camera around all sorts of ways, right? Action game. Now we get into the meat of, when do you start to separate action and RPG? When do you pay more attention to one versus the other? So, Saul, I think you have a litany of games you could choose from here. What's your go-to action game when you think of that category?
Mentally, Nier Automata.
My man.
Okay.
My man. That's a good answer. That's actually a really fucking good answer.
I'm a little in the weeds now because I have like 4 answers and I don't know what qualifies.
Okay. What? Let's hear your 4 answers, because look, arguably, he said it's up to us. All 4 qualify as long as they, in your head, you feel like they hit.
Uncharted 2.
Okay.
Witcher 3.
Okay.
Bloodborne.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. I lost the 4th one. But those were them. Like part of them. None of those are coherently action games to me.
You know what's really interesting is that we had so much conversation earlier in this episode when we were talking about Resident Evil about how you thought that Resident Evil 4 remake was kind of like the epitome of an action game, and yet you don't bring it up here.
Yeah, I don't think it's the best one.
Interesting. This gets into weird territory, because much like Saul, my initial answer kind of comes down to something that is much more like a Nier Automata, or the game that actually came to my mind, maybe just because it's something I've been wanting to replay a lot lately, Astral Chain came to mind. Ironically, both of those are Platinum games, and
It was Devil May Cry 5.
yeah, Devil May Cry comes to mind too when I think action games. More importantly, so does like God of War. And I guess technically God of War 2018 does, but whenever I'm actually thinking about it and when that comes to mind, I'm more talking like God of War 3, God of War 2, like a hack and slash action, you know? I'm not
God of War
really
3 is more of a action game, I think.
and God of War 3 is an action game. Or sorry, God of War 2018 is an action game still, but I view it slightly differently. Right. And in a weird way, Chris, this is where I want to get into something on here about the way that this goes. And Saul, I'm curious to hear your chime in on this too. You mentioned, and this is where we get into weird because you said no game is one thing, right? I think that you're right. Doom 2016 is a really good example of first person shooter. At the same time, my brain kind of wants to say Doom 2016 is also a good action game.
But that's part of the problem. That's why I don't really like the first two categories, because all first-person shooters are action games. All third-person shooters are action games.
The thing about action, right? Go ahead, Saul.
Arguably, there's only one.
Oh, sorry, Chris.
You're fine. There's only one first-person shooter that isn't an action, or two, and it's Portal.
Wait, you want to get really in the weeds? What are you doing when you shoot a portal?
Shooting.
You're making it, yeah. And what is shooting? Is it an action?
Yeah, sure. That's definitely not what I mean when I say
again. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When you get in the weeds, it's kind of like the role playing thing. It's like you could argue that every game's a role playing game, but I don't think anybody that's too in the weeds to where it doesn't even matter. The definition completely falls apart at that point. And it's like, yeah. It's like I don't think Warcraft 3 is an action game. Even though I have to I have to take the action to send out a troop, right?
That's too in the weeds even for me. And I would make a coherent argument that Skyrim does not have a silent protagonist. So let's just keep on going, dude, because that's crazy. Every time you click a button.
Ironically, I think this last one is really easy, but I'm curious to see where we fall on that. To that point though, Saul, I did think it was interesting that you didn't land on like Elden Ring or anything like that, because my gut also is that I don't really consider them action games. I always view those games as more of RPGs. Is that kind of where they fall for you?
Really? Pretty much, yeah. Because it's about building a character and assuming the role of that character and plotting out that character's build. I just don't have the heart to tell Seth that the very first tag of Avowed on Steam is RPG.
As an Avowed defender, that is barely an RPG.
You assume a role of a character that you create for the story. Now, whether or not the results that you have in that world or the effect you have on that world is binary or not.
That's the crux of my argument, though, is like what makes an RPG? Because Claire, that's my thing, right? Claire Obscura is to me as much of what I can think of an RPG as the other game that you were just Avowed. I think those two are as close to RPGs as each other, but I don't think either of them is as close to an RPG as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2.
I think what you're really getting into, ironically, Saul, this is the same thing that Seth is getting into, in where you value the term RPG when it comes with a lot more smaller decisions and details that come into it, and that's where Seth was like mad that Avowed was not an RPG. I'm like, really, what he was mad that Avowed didn't have the small details that he thought.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
right. He was like, why when I stand in the water and throw my spear at it, does the water not react? I'm like, how much does that matter to what the game actually wants you to do? Like, I get wishing it was there, but if I'm also being honest, does throwing my sword into the water in Skyrim and it splashing really add anything to the game? Not really.
Well, I don't think that's what it means. To me, that's not what I look at. But like when this is you as Avowed, because I didn't finish Claire.
Sure.
Right. What I remember of Avowed, I liked that game, but I also remember that you didn't. It sounds dumb, but like there was no interesting people in Avowed. Right, it was like you had quest givers, and then you had NPCs who was like, "Oh, chicken here," and then 10 minutes like, "Chicken here." It's the same. It was very static. It was very whatever. Whereas like Kingdom Come was like that too, but there was a certain level of like by the time there were some towns where I knew every character in the town by name. Right, so like that to me is more of what I'm looking for in an RPG, which I don't think Claire has. And like, yeah, hot take. I wouldn't say Final Fantasy has what I'm looking for in an RPG either.
Yeah, but I think
because
that's the important part, right? It's like what you're looking for in an RPG.
Well, of course,
but the type of RPGs that you want. All I'm saying is, of course, the strong use of Claire's not an RPG. But Claire is an RPG. It just doesn't strike the things that make you go, yes, that's what I talk about when I talk about RPGs. You know,
Claire is
it's
a
the magic
JRPG,
of the fact that
and I don't think it's the same thing. Those are not the same types of games, in my opinion.
Why? Because they're Japanese?
Yes.
That's the only difference.
Clair Obscur is fucking
those two
French.
words.
It doesn't count for anything.
Oh, dude, are we going to start FRPG? Let's go. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Saul, you going to start calling things FRPGs with me, buddy?
Faux RPGs, because it's not one.
Go fuck yourself.
Got
him. Let's scoot down to the last one here. The last one's Rogues. Why do I feel like this is the one where we're all kind of going to agree? Like even if there's roguelites I don't like, I'm still like, oh, it's a roguelite. I don't think that this feels like a genre that's a lot easier to put your thumb on.
I'm so glad I get to go first because I think I'm going to steal mine away from Chris.
Go ahead.
Slay the Spire.
Hey, bitch.
Slay the Spire 2 coming out like a month. Less than a month, actually, like 3 weeks.
Yeah, March 5th. No, because I think my answer is Balatro.
That's a good one too, though.
Hey, I'm going to be real, Chris. When you said Dead Cells a second ago, I was like, if this man does not say Balatro, I'm going to lose my fucking mind. I was hoping that after a few seconds of thought, you would land on what game have you played more than any that is a roguelite? Yes, it's Balatro, Chris.
Well, I guess part of it is Balatro doesn't feel like a roguelite to me anymore. Because I've 100% of the game. So I don't know. I guess like part of what I think of Balatro is clearly, and it's the best one of all time. But like when I think of an example of a roguelite, I think of something like Dead Cells, where every run I feel like, because to me, I played 500 hours of Balatro. To me, it's mechanical. It's not building a run. I know what I'm going for the second I turn on the game. So there's no there is a sense of progression to it. But like if I'm building a flush kit, I know what I'm doing the whole time, right? So it doesn't feel like in Dead Cells where it's like, oh, you get this random drop and then you get this random drop. To me, it's all very mechanical. It's very like I can get to a point where there's RNG, but like hundreds of I know how to make the economy work for me to the point where like I can basically find whatever I want. So my answer is Balatro, but like my answer is also Dead Cells.
Yeah, I'm also a little surprised. Don't get me wrong. I really think both of those are clearly fitting answers for you, and Dead Cells is a great answer. And if I'm going off of sheer amount of time, it's probably Dead Cells or Hades, one of those two. Though maybe more. I mean, I don't know. Enter the Gungeon 2 or Enter the Gungeon rather, not 2, but Enter the Gungeon's also a banging game.
It's funny that none of us even thought to mention the like progenitor of the modern roguelite.
What, Rogue Legacy?
Binding of Isaac.
I don't know which one of those actually came out first. Rogue Legacy is pretty old.
Binding of Isaac.
But Binding of Isaac's pretty old too. That said, I would have thought Vampire Survivors would have come out of you.
Is that really a roguelite?
Absolutely it is. What else would you call that?
I think that's a genre of its own. Like
it holds to all the tenets of a roguelite. You build your character throughout it, and then if you die, you have to restart, but you unlock something small that allows you to
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Yeah. It is interesting that you immediately, I thought this would be the easiest one. You know, though, I had to stop for a second because part of me wanted to say, but this gets complicated too. Part of me wanted to say Inscription. But Inscription carries a lot of ideas that roguelites have, but it actually goes through a real story that you eventually complete and you're done. And I mean, I guess you can technically say that Hades and stuff does that. And you could really argue that Inscription's like a really long form roguelite, but I don't know. Something about Inscription just doesn't actually feel, whenever you finish it and realize that, it doesn't feel like a roguelite anymore. It's almost like you talk about with Balatro, but while you're playing Inscription, it feels like a roguelite. And then as you keep going through, you're like, oh, this is just a game that uses the roguelite structure to its benefit. But maybe I'm wrong. Is Inscription a roguelite? That's where we get into the weeds on here. You tell us, by hollering down in the comments below, whether you're listening on Spotify. I want to play Blueprints. That's one of those games that I want to get to this year as well. Seems like a killer one. So, all right. Well, Saul, that wraps us up, man. Thanks so much for joining. Let's all crack off, having get some sleep. Anytime that you want to be on, you're of course more than welcome to be on. But otherwise, people can keep up with you however they like. So if you ever want to talk to Saul, just throw a message
I'm on
in the Discord
every day. Like, I may not be in our Discord. I'm not in any one Discord. I use Discord to get in to like voice calls, and I happen to just do it in one Discord because that's where all my friends are. I'm in like 20 Discords and I just don't chat. So just shoot me a DM if you're on chat, or
he's omnipresent.
I'm omnipresent.
Yeah, or if you want to be Sherpa'd through some Elden Ring.
I'm Omni RPG.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. All right, guys. Thanks for joining as always. Yeah, good.
I just want to say I am going to honor the bet. I'll buy him a house.
You're going to buy him a little house?
Tiny home?
Like a miniature house?
I'll buy him a house. I'll do it.
It's going to be fun.
It definitely isn't getting delivered to your house. Yeah, thanks for coming, man. It was nice to talk to you again.
Yeah, for sure. It's always fun to do this, and it just sucks that being an adult working 55 hours a week comes with no free time.
Yeah, I know that.
Hey, I will tell you, look, first of all, we're all three part of being able to get to 400 episodes. It's a lot of goddamn episodes. Sorry, Saul, for my use of that, but it's true. It's a lot of episodes. All that being said, Saul, I completely understand. And there's been times where I've had stuff going on that I need to handle. And that's part of why we moved to every 2 weeks, because it was just like, well, first of all, gaming news is getting more and more spread out because shit takes forever to come out these days. So there's just less and less to talk about to some degree. But then also it's just kind of like, I have other things I need to do. I think I'd be wrong to say that I haven't had considerations of like, I've done this long enough. There was a time like 20 episodes, I was like, maybe episode 400 will be my last episode. Maybe I'll just kind of like start talking to Chris about us planning on wrapping it up. And then, every 2 weeks comes around and we get to hop on here and bullshit and talk. And I don't know, I guess I still find it fun enough, but it's exactly like what you said, Saul. It's like, it sucks that I have to make the considerations to where I still have to work to make time for this. And it's not easy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have that idea that getting together and chit-chatting about games and recording yourself is like easy, and it's not that it's like hanging out but recording, right? But you think about that, but then it's like, okay, well, what if you're forced to do that when you want to do something else?
Yeah.
Or you're forced to do that and you don't feel good, or like you're forced to do that and it's just one thing, and it's not that it felt forced ever, but it's like you don't want to let people down. You don't want to.
It's obligated, right? It's like you feel obligation.
It's like you're getting invited to like a family reunion, and there's people there that you haven't seen in forever, and you can't miss it. And if you do miss it, you feel like crap. That's how every like episode feels like, to a degree. Like you feel like you're gonna let people down if you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's that kind of mental weight, plus the more and more you think about the way you look at games from a podcast standpoint, the more and more it actually starts to not feel like work, but it wears down on the time you would think about it in a fun way instead. And that sounds like it's insulting to like the show, but that it's not. You think about a game and your first thought starts to become, oh God, man, I got to talk about this on the podcast, and I should probably watch out about this specific part of how I feel. And you realize, you stop yourself and you're like, I'm not even thinking about this how I want to. I'm now programmed to think about it in a certain way. And there are people that are built like that can do that and go on forever and be completely fine. Like these two guys have gone, and I unfortunately just was like, I missed the time of just not having to think about anything when I play video games, but the moment of me playing the video game. And that's all that is. So.
Well, yeah, and I think it's important to note, I mean, like, to back up what you said, I mean, definitely now that we do this during the week, like the weekdays, there's definitely times, definitely with Chris kind of bouncing around as he has from his schedule thing, where you're kind of not having a good day. But and again, it's not like it's an honor to feel the obligation. It really is. It's an honor that anybody ever bothered at all to ever click on anything that we've put out there. And to that, it is kind of humbling to be like, the fact that anybody cared is great. But you do start to feel that obligation, and you have to have this thing where it's like, I don't want to let these people down. I mean, I want to keep doing this thing, and it is fun, but it kind of makes a bad day before recording kind of rough, because there's been times like where I could tell Chris is kind of just like, I'm not really feeling it, but it's what we said we're going to do, and we're trying to honor our word. And there's been times where I've done the same thing. I've come to the podcast and kind of not been in the great mood. And one of the great things I will give it is that usually by about 20 minutes into it, even if I was in a bad mood, we're cracking up and saying some shit, and my mood improves actually as a result of doing the podcast. But there still is a weight to that obligation where it's like, as fun as it ended up being, it kind of would have also been all right to just like sit down and like hang out with my wife and watch a TV show and watch these two people on Love is Blind and see what they're fighting over. Some, it's like, it's dumb shit, but it's fun. And I don't get a lot of that time. And I only get so much time as a father, to have my daughter doing certain things. And that's like a double-edged sword, right? Because like you only have so much time and she's growing. And so I have like a double down of, I only have so much time with her at this age.
Yeah.
And so it just keeps compounding. And so, I think moving to every 2 weeks helped a lot with that. I don't feel the burnout quite as much as I used to. And that was a big move. But, I think we'll continue to do this show as we can. And Saul, you're right. A lot of people do kind of run through that. And I've had to really, I won't say it's a big concerted effort, but I just really kind of approach the podcast from even though it may not be best for getting us out in more ears and more people wanting to listen by being more podcasty about it, I've kind of just settled into the people that listen to us are the people that listen to us, the people who want to interact with us. And then we have a number of people who are our patrons. And that's awesome because it helps us do the show without having to dig into our own pockets. And that kind of allows me this freedom to go, I'm just going to talk about the games the way I want to talk about them. I'm going to not talk about the games I don't want to talk about. I'm not going to feel the pressure to talk about the Last of Us TV show if I don't have interest in it, just because that's what podcasters do. And I completely understand, Chris. When you said that, I understand, because early days when Saul and I were doing this, we were doing all that. But, it's like things change, and it's just at some point it is like I've got to do it. If I'm going to do it, I've got to do it in the way that makes sense for me to do it, for me to keep doing it. And I really appreciate, Chris, that you've been very open to just letting it, like, I know there's times where you're like, this feels like obvious content, and that you even want to do it sometimes, and I'm just not there. And I've appreciated that you've never made me feel like I have to do it, which is good. Because I want this to be fun for everybody at the end of the day. And I mean, all that said, if you ever find someone to make the content with and you want to go under the name, I mean, this show's just as much yours as it is any of ours. That's the beautiful thing is Saul's maybe been off this show for 3-4 years, but this Triangle Squared is still just as much Saul's as it is mine, as it is yours, as it is anybody who's kind of brushed up on this. It's just a show that we put out for free, and I'm glad we've been able to do it so long. So
yeah, I think like, especially at the beginning when I came in, like there was a sense for me of like, oh, well, maybe one day I can turn this into a job. And I think it's gotten to a point now where I'm like, yeah, I don't think any of us are committed. Not committed sounds bad, but I think you guys know what I mean, where it's like 100%. None of us are turning this into a job. Like,
no,
it's not,
and in a weird way to Saul's points about how it can get bad for people who can't separate the two. I think Saul said that you view things differently as you get older, and that's certainly true. I think I've come around to, there's still a part of me, like I'm open to this becoming a job if it ever was going to become that. I'm also smart enough to know that most likely it's not going to, because entertainment as a whole is becoming so, what are they called?
Saturated?
What do they call the TikTok people? Influencers? Is that what they're called?
Yeah.
Influence. Media, even like TV shows are becoming so influencer focused, where like they won't cast you unless you have a certain number of followers on stuff. Like that's been being talked about lately. I think that's a terrible thing for entertainment and for people as a whole. And so I don't think it's going to happen, because I'm not an influencer and I don't want to live my life that way. But I think more importantly, I think I've grown to the point where maybe talking about games for a living, as fun as it sounded at one point, maybe that's actually maybe I don't want my hobby to become my career. Maybe
Yeah.
that's actually a bad way to interact with your hobby.
No, I mean, I think it's up and down. You know,
Yeah, that's true.
I would of course love that, but at the same time, like it's I don't think it's ever going to happen here. It's like you said, we have the people who we enjoy the show, and I do the show to like talk to you, and like when Saul wants to be on, talk to him, or like do the occasional one-off show with Blake. You know, like
Yeah,
I do it just because
you
like,
do the show
I
for
like to.
fun.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, sometimes I wish you would shut the fuck up so we could end the show. But like, there are times where I'm sure there are times where you want me to shut the fuck up. And I know Saul wanted us to shut the fuck up 2 hours ago. So like,
We've been going for 4 hours.
this is light work for me and Brett.
Yeah. Either way, guys, all that to
goodness
say, we appreciate you. And, we had to go big for episode 400,
We're not even going to
Saul?
get to 4 hours, which is kind of crazy because episode 400 should be 40000.
Yeah.
I can't vamp for another 13 minutes. But I can try.
Man.
You know what's hilarious, by the way? I don't know what made me think of this. I guess it was probably bringing this up as a job, but my Manscaped lawnmower thing still works
Mine
to this
too.
day.
But you know what hasn't lasted? That Manscaped underwear. Comfortable as hell.
Oh no, that didn't last lasted like a month and a half.
Dude, they blew out. The thighs
you guys
blew out
doing to your
almost immediately.
underwear?
My
no,
crotch
dude,
blew out.
no other pair of
You
underwear
guys
I've ever had
have
have done
giant
that.
dicks? Am I
No, there was
the
a hole
small
in the
dick
tank.
one on
I was
this?
like, I just felt like there was all of a sudden just air on my taint, and
Yep.
I don't know
Damn.
why.
It's got taint structural issues on those boxers. That's crazy. I'm just saying, I'm the biggest dude on this show, and I have the same I have the same Iron Man underwear I bought in high school.
Hey,
They're
dude,
clean to be.
I'm still
abundantly
wearing the
clear,
same pair of
but-
underwear for 5 years. I think what happened is that material is so comfortable because it's just so thin and breathable that it just doesn't last. It's
So we
not
just
even
have to live in discomfort. That's how the world needs to work.
Good God, man. I think I have been the most, maybe not out of this group, but out of anybody I'm normally associated with, I'm the most consistent with my weight. I've been 6'1" and like 180 or 175 for like a decade now.
Yeah.
I have a new 5 pairs of underwear every year. I just throw my old ones out.
Just
It's like
because.
It's like $25. Yeah, they get like the bands, start to get like the little holes in them and stuff, and like that starts happening.
Yeah.
Like the 3 out of the 5 pairs, I'm done.
This was the first year I was truly appreciative of clothes. Like my brother got me this jacket for Christmas, and I have worn it every day since Christmas. I'm like, this is the greatest fucking jacket I've ever gotten.
Dude,
in my
I
life.
will spend $100-$200 on a nice jacket or hoodie. Those
I don't even,
things.
with all due respect to him, I don't even know that it's like what you would consider a nice jacket.
You're just like,
You know-
fuck yeah, jacket.
See,
It just feels incredible. It's like got the soft little like fur on the inside. Like,
I have a fleece like a hoodie that's like that. That was oh man, what's the brand? North Face. And I saw it at Dillard's one time, and I was like, man, this thing is just not worth like $140. And I put it on, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna splurge for once in my life on some clothes. And I still have that jacket. That was like 3 years ago, and it is my favorite jacket.
Hey,
I've
saw
never
that North
been a
Face
spender
jacket we
on
got from
clothes.
work. I would have never. I'll probably still because I'm cheap ass deep in my heart. But I would have never bought a North Face thing. But that North Face jacket we got for Christmas like 2-3 years ago is. Actually, I think no, mine was for my 10-year anniversary. That's where I got it from. So you may not even have one. It's a nice fucking jacket. So is that
Dude,
Eddie
I found
Bauer
a
one we
North
got
Face-
this year.
Dude,
The only North Face I've
that's
ever
so
had.
nice.
That Eddie Bauer jacket's super fucking nice. I would have never bought that, but it's cool.
Jesus. Oh man. Yeah, the only North Face I've ever had I found in a fucking lost and found in high school, and I've been stuffing my fat ass into it because it's so nice.
There you go. It's like I'll never
gonna
buy a
suck in and
Patagonia,
zip
but
it
if I ever
all out.
find one, you bet.
Oh hell yeah. Hell yeah. Have you guys ever applied to a job and then gotten multiple interviews with the place and then been like, I kind of don't want to say I work here?
No. But also, that's the most random thing.
I'm,
Chris,
like,
are you going
debating
through
with
something right
myself.
now, my guy?
Well, yeah. Okay. We're 4 hours into the show. No one's listening to this. I hate my fucking job. Like with a burning passion. I hate my job.
That was me at CVS 7 years ago.
Who work. I love my staff. My staff is fucking incredible because I hired them and I know what I'm doing. But everybody else, trash. But I have this interview with a place where the hours are better. It's fucking 7 to 5 every day. You know, I have Tuesday, Wednesdays off. So it's literally perfect.
But then you got to say that you work at Roy's Dildo Factory.
No, dude, it's a restaurant.
Oh,
Dude, you're going to be working at Rolls Royce?
Yeah,
is that what Brett said?
Rolls-Royce. Yep, that's what Brett said. I'm working for Rolls-Royce in their kitchens. No, it's a 4-letter restaurant. It tends to be blue. Again, the hours are 7 to 5. What meal do you usually eat at that time? So I have this interview with this place, and like more money, better benefits. Gotta say I work for this company. I don't know, man.
Wait a second. I think I guessed this, but the time does not match up at all.
I'm curious
What's
if it's a
your
place
guess?
we even have down here.
Did they try to
definitely have it. It is
Did
a
they-
chain.
Did they try to get into burgers very strongly at one point?
They definitely did try to get into
Okay.
burgers very
I
strong.
don't know how Brett did not get this.
I don't know how I didn't get it either. I know it now. Also, I want to throw out there
There's
that
plenty of places
burger.
that try to get into burgers.
That burger was not bad.
No, it's just I can't imagine the idea of saying I work there. I don't know why. I have no reason. I wouldn't even disrespect someone who did work there.
Hey,
Good
we got
for
one,
you.
man. Come down here and work at it.
Well, the funny part is like I'm having this conversation with my boy at bowling, and then just this random woman just stops next to us. Already weird. And then I just look at her and I go, "What do you think about this place?" She goes, "Oh, it was fantastic. We went for the first time like last week." And I was like, "That's weird." But yeah,
That is weird.
It's super weird. Oh my God. All right. Well, that was my story. I don't have 6.5 minutes of material. So
What a wild.
Oh my gosh. I love it.
Saul,
Well, thank you guys for having me on.
thanks
And thank you all
for sitting through the shit show.
the positivity that I had about coming back. It's been great.
Can we get 6 minutes of just thanks for having me on? Man, you're welcome. Guys, really, thank you for having me.
Brett, just keep looping that. They'll never know.
They'll never know. There we go. That's how we'll do it. And then we'll just fade off into the sunset with a
You know
little
what you
old
should
Western
do?
tune
You know
playing.
how you should start ending this show?
Oh God, are we looping it now?
You should start ending the show with the cold open so that it loops like a fucking TikTok reel.
Oh my gosh. At that point, just make them all vertical videos. Somebody like start looking through YouTube
Subway
shorts and come
Surfers.
across a 4-hour short.
Subway Surfers just going through. Change our voices to AI voices.
What do they call
The
those?
words on the
Duos
screen.
or whatever, when it's 2 videos playing at once or whatever?
My favorite there was a genre of TikTok where it was a woman yelling at her Gen Z boyfriend and him just like spacing out, and then she takes the iPad, puts it under her face, and starts yelling at him with Subway Surfers beneath her, and she's like, "Oh yeah, no, of course."
That makes
What
me
a
think of
day.
the whole 2-screen theory. Like Netflix writing has gotten so bad because they write with the intention of you watching it with another screen.
Yeah.
Have you heard of that? Like
I have.
the reason why the Stranger Things last season sucked so bad
It's
is
because they
s-
wanted attention span to just be, hey, we're going to say the same thing over and over and over again. So
yes,
they for sure
they
get it.
over-explain everything 100 times, and it's because they don't anticipate you to catch it on the first, second, third, or fourth time they explain it. So they're going to do it again. It's awful.
That
I'm
is
telling
an
you, this is why AI Slop's going
insane
to take
thing
over.
to have come.
Can I ask a crazy question? This is bad. Is there a religious argument against AI?
Oh, that's an interesting fucking question.
That is an interesting question.
My gut tells me no.
But it seems to me as someone who's not super religious enough to like have a sense, it feels ungodly. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it just kind of feels like spitting in the face of that.
Well, look, to the point where at some point in time, someone may have viewed it that way. But I want to throw this into before refrigerators became a thing, like when they first started making the ability to make ice without having to go cut it from a fucking lake, then what happened is you just had to actually, they were like, hey, this is not God-made ice. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Saul, what you got going on over there? You raising your hand?
I guess it's a hotkey. I didn't even mean to do that.
But yeah, to that point,
maybe
they
that's
used to
space
say
bar. I
that.
think I clicked my space bar.
Probably. But hey, artificial ice was considered to be ungodly because only God can make ice.
Well, I'm not going to get into arguments about it because I think it's stupid. But there's something that I'll argue against. And someone will say, oh, it's a sin because it's unnatural. And my brain just breaks because I'm wearing contacts. Is that a sin?
Yeah, how is
me
ability
wearing
to see better
glasses? Is that a sin?
Yeah.
But
I don't ever
something not of flesh imitating flesh, like not. I don't know. It feels weird to me. I was curious.
I think God made smart people. If they made smart people to make Viagra, you know, it's a sin not to use it.
My man. My man knows what's going on. Yeah,
oh my God.
There we have it. Look, guys, I'm going to drive hours tomorrow. Yeah,
of course
exactly.
not.
No,
You don't need that.
Saul
No,
uses
not.
what's the new one that's hot on all the ads? Rougiette.
No,
What?
he uses fucking blood because he's a natural man.
Oh, yeah.
He don't need no pill.
I'm a vampire. Oh wait, we're going this way.
That dick works.
What do you use to get your dick up? Good old fashioned blood, and then he dumps his dick into a vat of blood.
You just delivered a John Mulaney joke right at the end of the show. Well, guys, what do you use to get your dick hard? Oh, a good old vat of blood.
So there's no cocaine here.
Oh, poor John Mulaney. I hear he's sober
great
these
comedy.
days. Good for him.
Which is great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for him.
Congratulations.
It always makes me think of Pablo Francisco, who is fucking hilarious, but he had 2 stand-up specials that are some of the funniest shit I've ever seen, and then he quit doing comedy. And when he was asked about it, he said that he was doing so much cocaine to do the comedy that it wasn't healthy for him. And you can see it in both of the stand-up specials. He's sweating his ass off and just fucking like moving around jittery. It's like, oh, he's high as hell. But you know what? I got some good laughs out of it. But I'm glad he quit while he was healthy. He can move on to better pastures.
Comedy.
Hey, just do a little cocaine. You got this. To that end, guys, thank y'all so much for joining me. We're going to call this one a quit so I can go and drive 7 hours tomorrow. No, I got to drive like 5 hours, though. So I want to be well rested, guys. As
I've been
always,
up since 5 a.m. I got to be up in 5 hours.
Thank you to our patrons. If you want to join them, go over to patreon.com/Nartech. Give as little as $1 per month. It helps to support the show by being able to cover all the costs that come with doing a podcast that you may not realize, like hosting the podcast, having the service that allows us to do this podcast virtually. With all that said, we always shout out our patrons at the end of every single episode. So, without further ado, thank you to the Boris Boar, Grime Kid 1989, FR Damian Quigley, Ryan Goldner, Low Rate Nate, Spencer, Brandon Edwards, Alex, Barry Rogers, Stingray X, Matt Tubbs, Bailey Robertson, Mark Schutz, Rude Days 93, Kevin Baconbits, Danny Villalobos, Jehudi MD, No Fate, Josh Ayers, Derek Porter, and Sean Santarud. Thank you guys. We'll see you next time.